Hello, everyone. We're ill prepared. Sorry. I hope everybody's doing okay this Saturday. I, for one, am doing. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty tired. I don't know. Yesterday, I took a nap at like 5 p.m. and I think my body's still recovering from that. I think my rhythm, like my circadian rhythm, is like as soon as 5 p.m. hits, it's nap time, and it's not. Like I'm having a difficult time staying awake during the day, and I wonder what that is all about. But I don't know. It kind of is what it is. But hi, howdy, hello everyone, welcome. I hope we're doing well today. Um, don't want to take up too much of your time this evening, only because I am a little exhausted, but at the same time, I don't got anything else going on, so I'm gonna kind of go with the vibes. And if things go well, and I get a lot of people chatting, then I will keep yapping. And if things are kind of quiet, then I'm probably going to leave after I kind of go over all the things I want to talk about. Um, let's see here. What are some random things in my life going on? As far as job search goes, there are recruiters that reach out. Every time I apply to a job, recruiters are reaching out. That's really, really good. That's really, really good. Because I remember enduring a chapter of job hunting where whenever I did have the open or looking for work banner on my LinkedIn, um, employees and recruiters would not reach out. So to have that happen now, with all the experience I have, is pretty good. That means that I am in a good spot. I'm in a good position. Um, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I don't miss that job at all. It was very stressful, and like I've said this before, but I'm like not excited. The only thing I'm excited about is the next job I work. I know I want to make a lot of money, like I want to make a decent amount, but I am not excited about just the workload and how much a 9 to 5 takes up out of your day. I'm not excited for that. And honestly, I understand why people in 2025 are just like, screw it. I'm gonna, work at Starbucks or work at Dunkin' Donuts, or I'm gonna just work this basic little, job at the store or at the bookstore or wherever. Jobs that I feel like boomers and a lot of America has conditioned into being um, roles that are like lowbrow or just not commendable, like serving jobs, bartending jobs, you know what I mean? I don't know. Growing up in the 2000s, there was sort of like an air that like college graduates at least had on people who were still working at the Olive Garden, or who were still, working as uh, a store clerk at like Staples or TJ Maxx, you know what I mean? Or even like the idea of being a janitor, that's still looked down upon. If you were a janitor or a trash man, like you kind of lost it, like, you know what I mean? And I think nowadays, with everything that's going on, with the constant recessions that keep happening, with the constant gaslighting that boomers give us when we are like telling them like, hey, none of the advice that you're giving us about like how to get a job is working in 2025's current job market. I think that Gen Z, millennials, and zillennials are throwing their hands up in the air, and they're like, fuck it, I might as well get a role where I can live comfortably enough to pay my bills, but I'm not super stressed or overwhelmed at my job. It doesn't seem like corporate America is worth it anymore, and quite frankly, it's not. It's not. This is not worth it. It doesn't seem like people are getting rewarded for being well educated by going to school. You know what I mean? Which I have a whole take about college, because I'm noticing the anti-intellectualism that is happening in the social media landscape, and I'm noticing that people think that YouTube University somehow trumps somebody who has gone to school anywhere between 4 to 8 years of their life, sometimes even like 12 years of their life, that somehow YouTube University can trump that. I'm also noticing when it comes to the court of public opinion, people fail to use common sense when dealing with the court of law, you know, and certain cases that come out. And I'm just seeing there be a push for people who have no idea what they're talking about, who are have incredibly dense and stupid takes, being able to have a platform to speak on those dense and stupid takes and cultivate a whole community of people that have awful, dense, stupid takes that aren't even rooted in any sort of I had to make sure my mic was on. Okay, sorry. That aren't rooted in any sort of facts or research, or like, you know, at least somewhat educated guesses based off of the education you have. You know what I mean? And so with that in mind, I know in previous videos I've had on YouTube, I have talked about, you know, it almost seems like college isn't worth it anymore. It seems like college is a waste of time. It seems like you should not go to college anymore. At least that's what some of my videos hint at. I want to recant some things. Hi. Is that Deandra? Hey. And I want to, hi, how are you doing? I want to recant on some things and say that you should educate yourself. Especially if you're 18, right? And you're trying to figure out what to do with your life after high school, the best thing you could probably do is educate yourself in some way, shape, or form. Do I recommend you going to the most expensive liberal arts college or like Ivy League school? Well, if it's an Ivy League, I would make an effort, because Ivy League schools do look good on a resume. They do. As much as people don't want to like laugh in your face and say that it doesn't, a lot of good things come from going to like, you know, critically acclaimed colleges like Harvard and Yale and stuff. But should you go to the most expensive liberal arts school out in the boonies of New England somewhere? Probably not. But should you at least make a stride towards your college education through community college, and then when you figure out what you want to do, pivot yourself into a different like major and maybe go to a state school to get all the remainder of your credits done? Probably. And if you don't want to go to college, then you should probably have your life figured out. Like, you should probably figure out what you want to do. And that could be incredibly difficult if you're like 18 years old, right? Or 19 years old. So I feel like the college conversation needs to change from, if I just go to school and do the 4 to 5 years that I need to go there, and graduate, get good enough grades, graduate, then I will get a job. It needs to change to, if I go to college, I have to leverage all the tools and resources of college to network with people so that I will be able to get enough internships and enough roles so that I will be able to get a decent enough job. That's what the conversation needs to pivot to. The whole idea of, well, if you major in basket weaving, you're not going to get like a well-paying role, or you won't be able to, you know, make money as a, you know, an adult. You won't have a sustainable career, right? That's a bunch of hogwash too, because as you can see right now, a lot of people who majored in computer science and tech and coding and all of that, they're having a very hard time trying to break through in the tech industry with all the monumental changes that are going on with AI. So I would almost argue, if you do go to college, Yeah, maybe do like if you want to do like get an English degree or a degree in philosophy or economics, like you can definitely get that degree, right? Anything liberal arts adjacent, right? Because those degrees are going to help you understand how to think. And gone are the days where you have to go to college and whatever you major in, you better hope that you're doing that after you graduate school. I know a lot of my parents and my family was always like that, especially when I had odd jobs here and there. They were like, well, how does this apply to the schooling that you did? Well, this isn't relevant to what you did in college. Until I finally did find a role, what I do currently, that is absolutely relevant to all of the things I've done in college and all the things I've learned how to do and all the skills I need in order to seem like a viable candidate in this job market in my field. But if you're going to college, you should really go to leverage your resources, and you should not go just to get good grades. You should be going to get a job, to build up your network, to get to know people. And then when you do graduate, or if you decide to go into another like master's degree program, it will be that much easier for you to get a role if you're like, I don't know, working at a company as an intern. You can get like grandfathered in, you know what I mean? I think it's really bad advice to just tell like kids between the ages of like 18 to 21, not technically kids, but like young adults, 18 to 21, that you shouldn't go to college. Because knowledge, honestly, like it's like a very like typical after school special message, but knowledge is the best thing that you can have in your life. Like if you can be well educated, you are lethal, you know? Um you don't want to be siding with flat earthers. You know what I mean? You don't want to be siding with people who got their degree from YouTube University. You don't want to be following people who got their degree from YouTube University. You know what I mean? Like it's time that we have that conversation. And if you want to take a political spin to this, all of the politicians who are very anti-college, like the Candace Owens, the Charlie Kirks of the world, who are like, it's meaningless for you to get a job or for you to go to college. Like we need more apprenticeships, some dumb BS like that, right? Which is true. We do need more like plumbers and electricians and all that, but it's only a matter of time before that gets oversaturated. But to those politicians who are like well off, or political commentators who are well off, who are living comfortably, you best believe that they are sending their kids to college while they're telling you to your face not to send your kid to college or not to go to college. They're going to send their children to college. Being uneducated leads to poverty. When you are educated, you have more opportunities to get yourself out of poverty. Being uneducated is also a breeding ground to control people. What you don't know is, what you don't know. And it's easier to feed people snake oil of what they think they should know and be aware of, instead of like venturing out and seeking that education yourself. Critical thinking skills are probably going to be very important in the next upcoming years, seeing that there's a shift in the tech industry a little bit in what is needed. There have been talks that a lot of junior roles are probably going to be eliminated, which means that the tech industry is going to be that much harder to break into. But it's going to be very important that you come to the table with figuring out ways how to interpret data that is given to you, and how to interpret concepts or business strategies that are given to you based off of data that you're probably reading from like user behavior. And you're not gonna know how to think unless you are educated on like some of those liberal arts type of courses, those liberal arts type of majors. I think that's another reason why, I don't know, maybe tech companies feel like they have to shift to AI is because when you create a bunch of individuals who are cogs who just do like code as they see fit, you know, like this is the design I want, go and code it, or this is the experience I want, go and code it, and they're not thinking critically as to whether this code makes sense, as to whether this code is needed, as to whether this experience is sustainable for the users that are on your platform, right? What we see is a lot of people who don't know how to think critically and don't know how to take the extra step and be like, is this needed? Is this going to cost the business money? Is this going to be an investment, or is this going to be a loss? You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, job market's changing. Please, if you're like under the age of like 21, or like if you're considering going to college, you should probably go. And if you're not considering going to college, then you should probably figure out what the hell you're gonna do. And that's like a really steep order for somebody who's like 18 to 21 years old, because already college sets you up in a way, or when I went, it sets you up in a way where like you go to school for 4 years, and like within those 4 years you have to pick a major, and that major is going to lead you to the career you want to do for the rest of your life. That is very demanding for a 18 or 21 year old to take on. Like that's a lot, because you just keep changing. You're a person, you're not a robot, right? But the good thing about school is that you get like the opportunity to build discipline and structure. Like, you know, you have to go to college because either you're paying for it, your parents are paying for it, someone's paying for it, you're taking loans out for it, and if you don't go, or if you flunk out, that is a loss on your end, right? So there's that structure there. There's that incentive of like, okay, so I have to graduate. If you decide not to go, you kind of lose incentive. And so now, and then you lose the structure. And so now it's high key up to you to figure out how you're going to structure your life so that you can self-actualize and sustain yourself. So yes. I do believe in gap years though, like taking a year off to kind of figure out what you want to do. But that gap year shouldn't be you lollygagging. That gap year should be, okay, I'm going to take this year off to study. I know a lot of kids at my college would do that, at my art school, if they needed to like understand skills better. Or, I'm going to take this year off to do an internship, or I'm going to take this year off to, travel and learn some things about myself. Like, you shouldn't be taking years off or gap years off for you to do nothing. Unless it's like a financial concern, then that's a completely different story. But yeah, if I ever came off previously, like college isn't worth it and that like you should not go to college, I apologize. That wasn't my intention. I think that college is worth it, but you have to let the schooling work for you and not you work for the school. Don't just like ride a wave in college, you know what I mean? Like, really use it to interact, network with people, and learn something. And don't listen to dude bros and grifty political streamers, people who lean on different sides of the political spectrum and telling you what you should and should not do when it comes to educating yourself in this current job market. Because, like I said, you best believe they are 100% putting their kid in college, okay? And they're over here telling you that you need not to go to college. I just need you to know that, all right? And that's a little wonky, right? Like, Charlie Kirk is going to put his kids in college. JD Vance is going to put his kids through college, okay? And they're going to sit up here and tell you not to go to college, all right? The whole apprenticeship conversation, I like it. I like the idea that people are looking into trades. I think that they are needed because we don't have a lot of tradespeople right now. However, it's gonna only be a matter of time before that's oversaturated. And also, I don't think people understand how like physically demanding some of those jobs can be. You know what I mean? If you're like constantly like using your hands and picking up stuff and lifting stuff and putting stuff away, or maybe if you're welding, or if you're even doing like that underwater like welding, like you can you can from that type of stuff, you know what I mean? Like you have to be so careful. Or even like the idea of being a nurse. Oh my god. I was on nurse YouTube and nurse talk for the longest time because I just kept seeing videos of nurse propaganda. Girl, let me tell you something. After being on nurse talk for as long as I was, and after listening to like a bunch of YouTube nurse stories, now again, okay, I went to University. I do not know what it's like to be a nurse. I can only speak from the perspective of being a patient and being cared by a nurse. That job is incredibly hard, and that job is incredibly difficult, okay? That job is tough. It is not easy at all. If you're trying to go into, I feel like, I preface this with I feel like, because I don't have experience in this industry, but I feel like if you're trying to go into those roles, like the medical care, like taking care of people type of roles, you gotta be like prepared, bro. Like you gotta be ready. Like you can't like, and you have to like your heart at least has to try and be in the right place. And I totally understand how some people like are like, no, fuck it, like this shit is hard, this shit is difficult, I'm a nurse, I'm gonna still do this because it pays the bills, but I'm like fucking tired. Like I get it, I understand, but I guess what I'm trying to say is not everyone is built to be a nurse. Not everyone's built to take care of people. And you probably should not attempt to take care of people if you already know that you don't have the people skills for it or the patience for it. Like you shouldn't even like attempt, because it's one thing if you go into like the tech industry and learn coding and like you hate your job because you don't like, outside of interacting with your coworkers, like you don't really have to interact with too many people. You know what I mean? You just go to work, do your job, go home, right? But like when you're working as a nurse, from what I see, you're interacting with other people who are going through their own shit, their own illnesses, their own ailments. And I feel like you really have to be a certain type of person to handle that stuff. You really shouldn't just want to be a nurse for the money, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think that's something important to keep in mind. But anyway, I'm gonna put this up here. I always like to put this up here while I yap, like some sort of emoji or emoji type of image while I yap. But yes, it is incredibly important that if you do anything, you educate yourself, however that might look like to you. Like, and honestly, some people are not the school type of individuals. Like they don't want to go to school, right? And so they choose options like, trade school. The Job Corps was a thing, but that doesn't exist anymore. Some people go to the military, and however you feel about the military politically, I think one thing we have to address is that the military is there for people who really don't have any other opportunities. I think I had a friend who had like very disparaging and shitty things to say about people who join the military. And I think there's a difference between critiquing the institution of the military and what it represents, and then critiquing people who have literally no other choice but to go to the military in order to survive and make do for themselves. I think it's a very privileged take to be like, fuck everybody in the military, they all suck and they're all shitbags. Because like a lot of people who go to the military are really just trying to, they're not military brats, you know what I mean? Like a lot of them are just trying to get a way out of their current living situation 9 times out of 10, and so that's what they go to. And a lot of these military scouting services know that, and so they go to the high schools with the intention of like getting young impressionable kids and being like, we'll promise you the idea of college and disability if you injure yourself, you know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, just find something that you're gonna do and work at it and educate yourself. Don't just sit on your thumbs, okay? Don't sit here and say I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. Like, girl, I was like thinking about that today, like how so many people want to be entrepreneurs, how like the world currently and like economically is setting it up for all of us to kind of have our own LLCs and be entrepreneurs because of how difficult it is just to get a regular 9 to 5 job that pays well enough, right? Um, you need work experience. Like some semblance of work experience in order to be an entrepreneur. Like you can't just like or like mentorship. Like if you're 19 but like your parents have done entrepreneurship, you've been around people who've done entrepreneurship, that's one thing. But if you're just like I'm going to be an entrepreneur in your room and like you don't know how you doing and hat am I? Hi Cole, how you doing and hat am I? Okay, cool. How you doing and what am I walking into? Okay. I'm ranting about I'm doing well, Cole. I'm doing well. And I am ranting about how I think that adults between the ages of 18 to 21 should educate themselves, probably should go to college. If they don't go to college, then they should probably um, like figure out what they're gonna do, like whether it's an apprenticeship, whether it's them going to the military, like self actualize. And I am saying how a lot of people around that age they want to start businesses, but they don't have the experiences to start a business. They don't work around environments that allow you to like lead and conduct business strategies. And so it's so easy to be like, I'm gonna start a business, but like if you don't know the first thing about like I don't know, project management, like it can be a little difficult, or how to manage a business campaign. It can be very difficult, you know what I mean? And I'm saying this because I'm noticing there's a lot of anti-intellectualism going on, a lot of people who are platformed and who are spewing nonsense, and a lot of people who come from means and resources, political commentators who um, are encouraging young adults not to go to school. Some of them are encouraging them to get trades, but I think the caveat to getting a trade is like how physically laborious it can be. So yeah, I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Hi. Hello. Okay. Yeah. So, go to school, kids, and educate yourself. Okay? It's very important that you do that. Before you know it, you'll be like 31 trying to figure out your life, and you do not want to be that guy. Also, to the 31-year-olds who are trying to figure out their life, you can always start over. Like, don't let anybody tell you that you can't start over. Like, you can actually always start over, okay? So, yeah, let's get started. All right. This week's Hey Exes, what's on your mind? A collection of unhinged thoughts I have had during this past week. This is where I talk about a bunch of pop culture moments that have been happening over the past week, things I've brushed up upon during my, doom scrolling on TikTok, books I've been reading, media I have been watching, movies I've been watching. Right now I'm on a Halloween kick because, oh my God, guys, Halloween is coming in like less than 60 days. And I don't know, I want to get more into horror, and I want to understand horror because I feel like I could be a big horror fan. I told you all how I wanted to be a little horror kid and read horror books when I was younger, but then my pastor uncle told me not to because it was demonic. Actually, I lied. Halloween is actually 60 days out, probably. But it's not 90 days out, but it doesn't mean that we still can't celebrate. So I want to be nice and ready. I think for the holiday, I'm probably going to make cookies. I want to make ghost face cookies. I think that would be cute. But yeah, that's what we're going to do today. I think I'm only going to do this. I'm not going to do gaming because I am a little cranky. I'm a little cranky boots, all right? But yeah, let's get into it. Some of the things I've been doing. All right, so what have I been reading? Exes, what have you been reading? All right, so first and foremost, I mentioned how I started the book Dune, the Great Dune trilogy. I got the big fat book that's like 800 pages, not the 3 separate books. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This book is heavy, physically and like visually. It's just like a heavy book. Like, it's very dense. Nothing wrong with it, but I find myself losing track in the book. I am aware of what's going on, and I am aware of what needs to be done, like, or what the characters' motives are, kind of, but it's just a very heavy book. It's very hard for me to like read and understand and pick up on what's going on before I like lose track. And so I'm putting in a hiatus on Dune. And I'm doing this thing where I read like 75 pages every like book I get done, right? So like Dune is on hold right now. I pick up another book, I finish it, like a shorter book, finish it, go back and read another 75 pages. And I might take notes on like what's happening in the book so that I'm up to date on what's going on. But for all 800 pages, it should take me maybe like, I don't know, 10 books, like 10 sets of 75 pages in order to get it done, I believe. I'm not good at math though, so but it's not that the book is bad, like I said, it's just that the book is heavy and it's dense, and nothing wrong with a dense book, it's just really hard to keep track of. And I kind of want to read like other books, that I'm into. Yeah, Halloween. I'm very excited. And so, yeah, Dune is on hold for now, but I'll probably get back to it. Maybe I'll do like here's what I know, here's what's happening in Dune so far, like recap, so that I can let y'all know where I'm at on the book. But yeah, Dune is a lot. It's heavy. It's heavy, it's hefty, and it's a lot. So I transitioned to Bunny. And this is a novel by Mona Awad. I hope I pronounced her name right. Let me know in the comments if I did not. And this is a book that was actually recommended through a Reddit thread that I looked at. And on the Reddit thread, I think they do this thing where they post books that feel like this, right? And they'll have like pictures or like mood boards to show what type of book feels like the mood board they're looking for. And so the mood board for a book like this was like dingy childhood girl toys. Dingy childhood girl toys, girlhood, like girlhood encapsulated, like skidding your kneecap on the pavement and a band-aid around it, Mary Jane's, frilly socks. Like, I guess if I had to put like words to the vision of what type of book this feels like, it's probably like the dark side of girlhood and womanhood. A lot of people also say that this book is comparable to that of like Sharp Objects, which is a book I have not read. It's a Southern Gothic set in the Appalachia, maybe, like the Appalachian era with the opioid crisis. I watched the series. It was very, very good. With Amy Adams, she did a phenomenal job. Sydney Sweeney was actually in that too. Back when Sydney Sweeney was less obnoxious, she was in that. But it was interesting because it was such a interesting, like a introspection in girlhood and womanhood from 3 generations of women. You have Amy Adams' character who is dealing with her own traumas. You have Amy Adams' mother who is also like trying to uphold the system of like the ye old South or whatever. And then you have her younger sister who is, you know, kind of rebelling in her own way. It was very, very good, very Southern Gothic coded. Loved it so much, and I wanted more. And so I'm definitely probably going to get the book for Sharp Objects because I love the series so much. But in the meantime, I'm reading Bunny. And Bunny is about a writer who's going to a creative writing graduate program and is fascinated with the world of these 4 girls who they refer to themselves as Bunny. And the best way I can describe it is Mean Girls meets Mean Girls meets. So it's Mean Girls, right? Like it's gonna be Mean Girls, but like darker, grittier, kind of more sci-fi, like trippier. Mean Girls meets Midsummer, maybe, but it's just like it's grittier. There's a short story I read about. It was a Southern Gothic that I read about a serial killer. I can't say that. Southern Gothic about a serial killer. I'm looking it up right now so that I know that I have the right story. A Good Man is Hard to Find. That's okay. So A Good Man is Hard to Find. It's by Flannery O'Connor, and it's about a serial killer and a family that comes across a serial killer, and like it talks about like the introspection about their ways of life and what they believe in and their beliefs. And spoiler, but they all get at the end, like even the baby too, which is unfortunate. But that's just kind of how Southern Gothics be sometimes. So it's kind of like A Good Man is Hard to Find meets Mean Girls, and if like you're into that, like the dark, twisted side of like girlhood and womanhood, then like Bunny is right up your alley. I'm a big fan of books and media like this. Jennifer's Body. I've fangirled about Lisa's Frankenstein. God, what Sharp Objects? I already mentioned that. But like horror-based books and movies and media that talks about and explores the dark side of womanhood. I think another horror movie is the Amber Lane movie. I forgot the name of it. Horror movie. Amber Heard was in it. I don't know how y'all feel about Amber Heard, but after all that stuff came out about her, all the boys love Mandy Lane, so it's kind of like that a little bit, but a little bit more sci-fi-y, but yeah, funny. Reading that. And I like to pair my novels, my fiction novels, with graphic novels. So I'm also reading Batman the Imposter, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm only like 2 pages in, where Batman is talking to his psychiatrist. But it's pretty good. I like it. And it's also reminding me, because I want to get back into reading comics, it's reminding me how much I miss reading comics and how much I appreciate like advanced ink work. My major was sequential art, so that's like a glorified way of saying comics. I majored in comics in college. And I'd say one of my favorite classes was probably materials and techniques and advanced like inking techniques, where I was just like using black and white, like black ink, and putting it on poster board and like outlining my drawings. I really like ink, like really strong ink work, and I will say that this book does a good job with their ink work and showcasing like very brooding, like very dark, dreary environment of Gotham. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do grow tired of Batman though. That's just like my personal like pet peeve and grievance. I do grow tired of him because he's like DC Spider-Man. I also grow tired of Spider-Man, but he's more charismatic, you know what I mean? But he is DC Spider-Man. And the difference between Batman and Spider-Man is that where Batman gets interesting is all the type of villains that circumference him as a character. Where Spider-Man is interesting is all the different types of Spider-Man that are, you know, taking on the role of Peter Parker, if you will, in that comic franchise. You know what I mean? As Peter Parker as a character, right? It's not just Spider-Man, Peter Parker. It's also Spider-Punk. It's Miles Morales. It's Spider-Woman. It's Diana Drew. Isn't she Spider Lady? Diana Drew is Spider. I'm sorry, I'm not well versed in my Spider people. Oh, that's not who. Yeah, Diana Drew. Yeah, Spider-Man just has, you know, Venom, Scarlet Spider. Yeah, you just got a lot of shit going on. I know about Aranya, Spider-Girl. It's just a lot. It's a lot of spider people. It's a lot of spider people. And then there's that one Spider-Girl that's in the Marvel Rivals map. This one, I don't even know who this diva is, but like she exists. There's a lot of spider people. She's a cutie though. I like her. But yeah, Batman, Spider-Man, contrast. Batman, I get a little tired of in a way, because Batman doesn't feel like an interesting character to me. He just feels like a billionaire with money, and it's like, yeah, it sucks that your parents died. Like, I would be, you know, grieving as well, but you have all this money. You know, and I don't know. I just remember when Joker got really popular, when Heath Ledger played Joker, and everyone was like, "Oh, I'm so broody." Like all the Kyles, all the white guys were eating up the Joker. Even when that Joaquin Phoenix movie came out of the Joker, they were still eating it up. They were like, "Oh my god, he's so relatable." And it's like, okay, girl, like, sure, I guess. And then Harley Quinn came out, and I don't know. Harley Quinn is a lot. Harley Quinn's a lot. Alright, anyway, media I've consumed. So these are like the movies I've watched, right? So I watched the new 2022 Scream. I was trying to get through all the Scream movies, so I think there were 6 Scream movies before they just keyholed it and did like a whole like reboot. Hi, Ruxar Fatima. Let me know if I pronounced your name correctly. But like I said, I'm getting into the Halloween spirit a whole less than 90 days early, so you know this is where I'm at. But I just decided to skip over the other 3 Scream movies because I couldn't see them on streaming, and I wasn't about to pay like $3.79 to rent them. I don't even think you can rent them. I think that you have to get access to them through a movie service, and at that point I don't even know if it's worth it. So I just watched the new generation Scream movie with Jenna Ortega, Mickey Madison, and Jack Quaid. And then you have Courtney Cox and the main final girl, and then Dewey. I don't know his name as an actor. My name is pronounced Rukhsar Fatima. Rukhsar Fatima. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing a deck. I do this every week to give a summary on some of the things that I've crossed paths with in pop culture. So yeah, I call them musty decks, but I don't know. That name might change. But yeah, anyway, so this movie was cute. It was a moment. I can't take the Scream movies seriously. Like, they're a good chuckle. So yeah. Rukhsar. My favorite. I don't really have favorite movies. I just talk about the movies that I've watched so far. So the movies that I'm currently watching right now are the Scream movies and the Bride of Chucky. I watched the updated Scream 2022, and it's not bad, but it's so very clear that this is supposed to be a parody. Like, even the first Scream movie was supposed to be a parody of horror movies, and I love that. But it was a little bit more, like, intense. Like, I remember the first scene with Drew Barrymore and her boyfriend's being tied up, and Ghostface, like slices their guts open. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of intense. And then, like, hangs Drew Barrymore, and her guts are spilling out, and her parents see, and it's, you know, and after that, the other few Scream movies were just awful. Like, but, like, in a camp way. Like, oh my god, it's Scream, you know? But this one was, like, it felt very in on the joke. It felt very in on the joke and very aware. I guess spoilers, but Dewey is no longer with us. Dewey, the police officer from, like, all the movies, no longer with us. And it was so cute because when Ghostface stabbed him, Ghostface was like, it was an honor. And then he took out his knife and Dewey fell. And that's so cute because they were paying homage to the actor because, like, his contract's up, girl. Like, he's not doing any more Scream movies. Like, so I thought that was so cute for the Scream universe. But I would like to say that Jenny Ortega and Mickey Madison and Jack Quaid did a great job. They did a phenomenal job. They really did their big one. Even the I don't know her name, but she was in that movie about the people who went missing. But let me look at the screencast. She was in that series about people who went missing. Her, Jasmine Savoy Brown, she was in Leftovers. Yeah, she did a good job. Mickey Madison did a very good job. Speaking of, like, Batman and, like, villains and Harley Quinn and Joker, right? I think she'd make a really good Joker if James Gunn wanted to take a stab at Batman again and, like, redo the Suicide Squad. I think she would make a great Harley Quinn. Especially seeing her in Anora. She has that, like, New York sass down. Jenna Ortega did a good job. Jack Quaid did a great job. I just remember him in 13 Reasons Why, and he was okay. Not really a fan of his blonde hair in the movie, but I guess. Melissa Barrera, did not do that good. Respectfully, I think I just did not like her acting. It didn't feel that serious. And then Jasmine Savoy Brown did a very good job too. Her brother was okay. The people, well, I don't want to spoil it, but, like, I'm gonna spoil it. Nobody really died at the end. Like, everyone kind of survived with the exception of Jack Quaid and Mickey Madison, which were the people behind the Scream, like behind Ghostface. I wonder who Matthew Lillard was. Was he Ghostface? No, this is, like, original. I don't know why they put him here, but Matthew Lillard in the first movie was Ghostface. He did a good job. I like Matthew Lillard. I like him. Best Shaggy. So yeah, this movie was pretty good. I'm excited because they're gonna do another movie in 2026, and I'm obviously gonna watch it. I think Scream's gonna be my new hyperfixation, so this is gonna be my comfort movie. It's so unserious, but it is what it is. And then I also watched The Bride of Chucky. This movie, okay, I haven't watched any other Chucky movies. Okay, I would just be honest with you. I've always heard about Chucky. I remember Nicki Minaj had beef with Chucky on Twitter, and that's like the extent of my Chucky knowledge. And then I remember like watching The Bride of Chucky on the Sci-Fi Network back when cable was cool in passing, when I was flipping through channels to get to Cartoon Network or Disney Channel. I was also a little scaredy pants, so I was afraid to watch horror movies. But like, Bride of Chucky was the campiest shit ever. Bride of Chucky. Oh my gosh. I never laughed and chuckled so hard. Like when the dolls started having relations. When they started having relations, I was done. I was like, girl, you are not serious. Like, they really, like, someone was in the writer's room writing the script and was like, and what if they start fucking? Nobody asked for this at all. Nobody asked for this. But one thing I will say, human Tiffany Valentine, played by Jennifer Tilly, cunt. She killed it. I can't say kill. But she did a great job. She did amazing. And her outfits were so slay. Like, those are outfits I could see myself wearing. Like, I can see myself wearing outfits like what Jennifer Tilly was wearing as a human. Like, that's like the type of alternative I would like to dress as, you know? But she did such a good job. I love her baby voice. It's so cute. I'm probably going to watch all the Chucky movies, and I'm probably going to watch the sci-fi series, and I'm probably going to watch the 2019 movie as well. Yeah, the outfits do always serve. Yeah. But I don't know. Bride of Chucky was just so camp. And I didn't know at the end of the movie that she has a baby. She has a demon baby. I don't know what happened after that. Did they keep making Chucky movies, or did they do a rebrand? Because, like, I think after Bride of Chucky, it's like, it's time. When you have the dolls out here having relations in real time, like, it's time. It's time. You know, it's time to end the franchise a little bit. I like Rob Zombie. He did some of the soundtrack of the movie. I like the songs. They were cool. I don't know, but I'm I'm having a good time getting into campy horror, you know? I'm building myself up to like very disturbing, very uncomfortable horror. One of the movies I really want to watch, but I'm not ready for, is Skinamarink. I know I'm not ready for that. It's like a liminal space cosmic horror. I don't know if I can do it. And we still haven't finished Nope over here, girl. And depending on who you ask, that probably isn't even really a horror movie like that. But we still haven't finished Nope. That scene with Jean Jacket and the whole audience, I'm not over it. So, but yeah, these were fun, scary movies to watch. So I'll keep you guys posted on other movies that I have been viewing. Side movies that I've watched. I watched certain scenes of Blue is the Warmest Color. Listen, don't judge me. For those of y'all who don't know what Blue is the Warmest Color is about, it's basically about like a queer couple. It's about a queer couple, and it's critically acclaimed. I would hear people talk about how it's critically acclaimed for the storytelling, and how they utilize color to tell the story, right? And you know, I was watching certain scenes, but honestly, the scenes of Blue is the Warmest Color actually made the actresses uncomfortable. So I hear, like, they made the actresses very uncomfortable. They did not want to do those scenes, and so ever since I heard about that, it made me not want to watch Blue is the Warmest Color anymore. But you know, sometimes I watch. I'm no better than a man, but I watched bits of that, and then what other? Ooh, I watched. I can't even say it, but this movie. I watched this movie again. I like watching it. It's a really good it gives 90s, it gives like 90s, camp, unseriousness, Death Becomes Her. Sabrina Carpenter's Taste music video is based off of this movie, and I thought that was cute. But yeah, this movie's pretty good. I was a big fan of it. So yes. But like the big movies that I've watched to consumption are or to their entirety, excuse me, is Scream and Bride of Chucky. And shout out for Jennifer Tilly for playing Tiffany Valentine. She gave Savant in the best way. She also was in this movie that I like, Bound movie. She was in this movie, right? And I mean, she looks so savant in this movie too. I like this movie a lot. But anyway, yes. So moving on. Series that I'm into. So I started watching the series Adults on FX. And I don't have FX. I just have Hulu. Hulu has a deal with FX, so I just watched it on there. The whole season was on there. And here's the thing. I am very pro series about adults. Adults, not teenagers, but adults. I'm very pro that, right? So any series that's about people in college, people who graduated college, people who are in that weird puberty phase of adulthood where they're just trying to figure it out, guess who's a fan of it? Me. I also really resonated with this show because, over the past years, I've had experiences like this. Like, I've lived with roommates. We've kind of had to make it work. I would argue that my roommates now that I talk to currently are like some of my closest friends. And we were all struggling trying to make it. I was trying to be a spicy girl online. They were trying, one of my friends was trying to get it done, get it out the mud with art. My other friend had a coffee job that she was working. And we were just existing and living life and navigating adulthood. And it was very, very beautiful. And I miss it all the time. I miss it so much. I miss that community that I sometimes think I took for granted. And so when I watch shows like Adults, I look at them and I think, wow, this is just so wholesome. Not only are the cast of characters of age, it's not teenagers doing weird freaky deaky ish. I don't want to see that, right? But it's just very honest, and it's about their friendship dynamic and them navigating certain relationships, and I really love that. So I watched the first 2 episodes of Adults, and it's not that bad. I would say definitely give it a try. It's very Gen Z coded. So if you're a Gen Zer, it might be up your alley. And the characters are just so interesting. It's about a bunch of adults who are in their early 20s trying to get jobs, and they're living in a house that I believe this guy, this is his childhood home, and they're all living in this house and helping him pay rent, Which a part of me feels like that would be so fun to do with friends. Cause I'm not gonna lie to y'all, low key on the low. Okay, low key. I don't know, I don't see myself really getting married, and I don't really want kids. So, I wouldn't mind living with a bunch of my close friends in a house, and we just keep it clean and live comfortably, But that's a conversation for another day. But I don't know. I just really like Adults. I think it's a really good series. I think it's a healthy series. I think it's necessary, and I think it's a good way to usher in new Gen Z talent and the new voice of comedy and of lifestyle. and like authenticity for the Gen Z, right? Like every generation has their own series. Like I believe millennials had Friends, I guess. If you're a black millennial, you probably had Living Single. Gen X had Seinfeld, you know. So I don't know. It's like one of those. So love it, love it, love it. All right, now we're getting into our pop culture chapter. So this is what everybody has been waiting for. Okay, Katseye. Katseye. My girls, my bitches. I love these girls. I love these girls down. I love them down. I love them down. They are so cute. They are so adorable. Katseye is a multicultural girl group that is rooted in like South Korea, I believe. Like this is a multicultural girl group that South Korea came up with. So a couple things, right? I used to be a fan of K-pop. I used to. And I started to like weed off of K-pop, especially now, or wean off of K-pop because something that I noticed about Korean pop music is that it's a bona fide rip of like R&B and hip hop and pop music from the 99 and 2000s. Like let's just be honest. Sometimes it's a bona fide rip of like R&B, hip hop, pop music from like 10 years ago. Okay. I'm also not a fan of. I'm not a fan of them not giving like paying homage or giving their flowers where it's due. Right. I've talked about this diva before, but Miss Tinashe. Okay. I love her down. Love her down. Queen. Pop princess coded. Okay. She is the pop princess. All right. Like argue with your mother. Okay. But she is underrated. And something I noticed about K-pop in their spaces is that they will rip off of everything that this woman does, but never give her accolades. Like they are studying that girl, studying full-fledged courses on Tinasheology just to like get their dancers and performers to dance and sing and perform in the way that she does. It's weird. It's weird. Like she's their Beyonce over there. She's their Beyonce over there. Like, but they won't like feature her. What's weird is they won't feature her on any like songs. They'll just take her choreography. They'll take her sound. They'll take her music, and it's not even just Korea. It's also like in America too, right? Like they just like she is dead ass the blueprint for a lot of things, and like she never gets her tens. And I don't know, when she finally blows up like the way I feel like she needs to, it'll be such a satisfying feeling as somebody who has like followed her career and all the tribulation she's had ever since she was signed to RCA. It'll be satisfying for me, okay? But like Tinashe is that girl. Tinashe is that girl. K-pop groups copy them. Why am I mentioning K-pop? Because Katseye is rooted in like K-pop coded aesthetics, right? Like you can even see it in how these girls look. First of all, Manon, this girl is so pretty, but why did they like? And I don't mean to be picky because I got a mop on my head right now, but it's like, why? Like her hair line, I don't like that. I don't like that. You see that? They didn't lay this wig down. That's what I'm trying to say. Is this wig looks like I did it. Like, and that's also another thing that pisses me off about K-pop is K-pop coded groups or groups that were made with the intention of like taking influence after like Korean pop music or the Korean pop aesthetic is that their POC girlies, they don't really take the care or like make the effort to like learn like what looks good on them and what looks good on their body, or like at least learn how to lay down a wig, like, you know what I mean? But that's okay. It's not okay, but it is what it is. But what's interesting about Katseye is it almost feels like South Korea beat America in their own game, because America used to be well known for like creating really strong boy and girl groups. And you'd think that like America would have came up with a multicultural girl group to go toe to toe with like the South Korean girl groups that are out now, like Blackpink, aespa. Is Red Velvet still a thing? I don't know. But like, no, Korea was like, no, hold my beer. We'll just do our own multicultural group, and like, it's fine. Like, I like them. I think they're very cute. I think they're beautiful. I think Laura is stunning, sickening, beautiful, and Manon. And those are the only two members of the group that I know. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I know this one. She kind of looks like Charlie XCX, and that's cute. I like that. But I also like how all these girls can dance really well. They all dance very, very well. And they all have like really good chemistry. And I don't know, it fits that pocket and niche of like music genres for preteens, you know, where it's not like super inappropriate. It's provocative, but it's not inappropriate. They give me like Y2K girly pop vibes, you know, and I like that. But as of recently, Katseye has done a denim campaign with Gap, the clothing store Gap. And it was phenomenal. It was like full blown choreography. They were dancing to the song Milkshake. No one was talking about jeans and who has good jeans, right? And you know, blonde hair, blue. No one's saying that, right? But I think the messaging that came across is that their brand of denim isn't them trying to troll and make weird fascism jokes. Their brand of denim is being inclusive by having all different like shades of women represent their denim. Their denim is inclusive of everyone. And they didn't even have to tell us that. It's just like the timing with the whole Sydney Sweeney campaign that happened with AE Jeans and the you know, choosing the right person to represent the brand, Katseye. Them just speaking through their bodies and dancing, their outfits, how it's not just like a denim jean pantsuit. They're all wearing different versions of denim that represents their brand as a person, right? And then in the background, you even have dancers and they have different shades and different colors of denim on them as well, all from different racial backgrounds too, right? Whether Gap was intending to do this or not, their intentionality behind their denim campaign was that these jeans are for everyone. Everyone has good jeans, figuratively and literally. However that might manifest, whether it's a denim skirt, whether it's baggy jeans, whether it's boyfriend jeans, whether it's bell bottoms, y'all got good jeans, bitch, right? Whereas American Eagle was like, I felt like they were trying to troll the idea of like fascism, right? Like they were just like Sydney Sweeney, vocal fry voice, blonde hair and blue eyes, passed on from parents to offspring, you know what I mean? And it's like they're trying to make a joke about like the very creepy and unsettling reality of what's going on in America right now. And it's not funny. And it didn't fare well for Sydney Sweeney either. Like I've just been seeing her get raked and dragged through the internet. There were some people saying that the reason why they're hating on Sydney Sweeney is because she's beautiful. She's beautiful, and like they'll never be able to be as beautiful as her. To which a bunch of people had said, "Girl, she isn't even like grade A white woman material." And that's, I mean, as Sydney Sweeney, that's gonna hurt. They started bringing up Dallas Adams Bryce, I think is her name, the girl from Jurassic World. They started bringing up Jessica Chastain, Angelina Jolie, Margot Robbie. I was like, ooh. Sydney catching strays. But in my Tyra Banks voice, Sydney needs to learn from this if she even has a career after this, because it's just like, girl, like, you should not take every single marketing campaign that comes your way. You really shouldn't. Like, you can say no. Like, this is not a good look for you, right? But this was awesome. This is how you do a campaign. Gap has also done like a lot of like visual dance campaigns with other artists too. They did one with Tyla, Troye Sivan, and they even did one with SZA, and I believe they even did one with Cher and Future. Gap. Yeah, different strokes. Different strokes for different folks. Oh my god, that song was trending on TikTok, bro. It was a mess. It was a mess. But just like a weird collab that nobody asked for. But they've always been like very like out there and like inclusive with whoever is a part of their campaign, you know? And I'm sure American Eagle has too. It was just like they dropped American Eagle 100% dropped the ball and made a lot of people uncomfortable with like the type of messaging they were trying to push. Gap just hyped everybody up. Gap was just like, yeah, it's queen. Like, this is it. This is it. You know what I mean? But yeah, Katseye killed this, slayed, ate, left no crumbs. And American Eagle and Elf need to pay attention. I'm still not over the fact that Elf Cosmetics thought it would be a good idea to put Matt Rife in a commercial. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Even if it was like Kevin Hart or Dwayne The Rock Johnson or any other comedian, I don't know, what's his name? Oh God, he's the balding redhead that's always angry. Bill Burr, like that makes no sense. Elf, like what are you doing? And maybe it's to rebrand Matt Rife so that he seems like more of an approachable, like friendly guy that's for the girls, but it's not working. Like the girls don't like Matt Rife. He made an inappropriate comment about DV. He didn't even do it in a clever way. In the way like that Bill Burr did that one time in his comedy special. He was just like, oh, well, she needs to go back to the kitchen so that she doesn't get a black eye. Like, come on, dude. But this is how you do good marketing. This is how you say so much with so little. And do it right. You know what I mean? So, good job, Gap. I think that companies need to understand who their target demographic is or who it should be. If I could guess, Gap's target demographic was going to be like the everyday preteen girl, which is why they pushed Katseye. They want to dip into that market, right? And they always pick like the hot trending like musician to like work with them, right? If I had to, it's noisy outside, excuse me. If I had to try and understand who American Eagle's target audience was, I would say it's them trying to sell the idea that fascism can be hip for the teens. That fascism is so unserious. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And it did not check properly. It did not clear, you know? Maybe, I don't know, maybe a bunch of conservatives will buy American Eagle, but it's like, me growing up, I always knew American Eagle as the brand that was more affordable than Abercrombie. That was a little bit more inclusive, a little bit more approachable. You know, where Abercrombie, you're walking through the mall, you go into the store of Abercrombie, and it smells of like that musty Axe spray scent. And then, you know, there's a bunch of attractive people everywhere that are like a size 0. At least American Eagle, like their branding always felt like they were trying to be approachable. Like they were trying to be approachable and friendly. And it's kind of ironic because now American Eagle has rebranded themselves into not being as approachable and being exclusive, right? And Abercrombie and Fitch is now like, bring on the inclusivity, right? Like they are definitely targeting to like the 9 to 5 millennial. They do not give any fucks. And I love that. I do. But it's just like, it feels like Gap was trying to make like inclusivity hip to like a younger Gen Z, Gen Alpha audience. It feels like AE was trying to make fascism hip to a Gen Z and Gen Alpha audience, and it did not clear. So yeah, this was really great. I think they did a great job, and I'm just really excited to see how they progress. They all dance very well. If I can be very critical about K-pop girl groups, a lot of them don't be dancing well. A lot of them don't be dancing. They don't be dancing that well, girl. They don't be dancing that well. They don't. They don't. I'm sorry. They don't be singing that well and they don't be dancing that well. And that's just my humble opinion, okay? Like that's just my opinion, you know. And it's like a watered down version of whatever like Destiny's Child and Usher and Britney Spears and, you know, even what Tinashe was doing like some 10, 20 years ago. It's just like, girl, originality, please. And it's the K-pop stans will convince you that they are so original, and they're not. They're not. But there's a place for them, you know. What I don't like, now that we're on the topic of K-pop, and again, I'm bringing up K-pop because this girl group is definitely rooted in K-pop influence, right? But now that we're still on the topic of K-pop, what I also don't like is how some fans will, like, to your face, and I've had this happen in real time to me, will, like, demean and disrespect music genres like hip-hop and R&B for being too sexual or too violent or too, you know, aggressive, right? But then they will uplift the music genre like K-pop and be like, oh, you know, I like RM's rapping, you know, like, oh, the hip-hop sounded so good, oh, this is real hip-hop, right? Like stuff like that. Like, I've seen, if I could have a dime for every time I've heard one K-pop stan make a commentary like that. And that's the shit that pisses me off. This in and of itself, this whole conversation really needs to be like a whole like presentation deck on its own, because I think the biggest gaslight between country and R&B hip hop music, right, is that you have other people who have so clearly stolen the sound of country music, of R&B and hip hop, and refuse to pay homage or make space for the people that they've stolen it from and sell it back to the same audience. Like, regurgitate it, flip it, water it down, make it present itself in a more palatable, white passing presentation, right? And convince us that that is much better and more entertaining and more thought-provoking than the original. And I just don't like that. Like I've mentioned before, they like, a lot of K-pop has been stealing and reheating Tinashe's Nachos, and I'm so angry at that. She never gets like her accolades. She never gets her tens. She doesn't, and they just do it, and they're comfortable with it. How much you want to bet that Manon, like, her whole design is probably based off of Tinashe because of how obsessed they are over there about her. Super Love, Tinashe's song Super Love was stolen by a K-pop girl group. Similar music video concept and everything. And Tinashe didn't even know. They just like stole her sound. Like, I get tired, bro. I get tired and I get annoyed. And I don't know. I watch a bunch of horror movies to work through the pain, but it's just like, girl, sometimes enough is enough. Like, I just like, come on. Like, you're so obvious with it. And I think for like a more grandiose topic, like a bigger topic, what also bothers me is how there has been an adamant push to water down the craft of hip hop, to water down the craft and the ambition and the building blocks of hip hop, and like introducing like untalented folks into the genre. And this is coming from someone who isn't even like a hip hop head like that. But when you have people like Ian and Yeet, Ian, like this white boy that's trying to sound like Lil Baby. Yes, whatever. Was Tyler the Creator justified in his criticism of Eden? I don't even have to read it, and I already can tell you yes, because is this Ian? I don't know if that's Ian. But like, come on, man. You know damn well he doesn't sound like that. He grew up in the suburbs. And he's over here sounding like Lil Baby. Like, come on. And then Yeet. and he gets to headline Freshman XXL. Why? No, what even is this anymore? Like, I don't even think people take Freshman XXL seriously like that. So you got Ian, right? And then you got Yeet. And Yeet just gives, like, 14-year-old boy, like, Fortnite playing, like, coded. Like, that's what Yeet gives. Because I tried listening to his music. My partner tried listening to his music. And we were like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not trying. It's not even me trying to hate. Because I used to be a hater. Like, Lil Uzi Vert, I used to hate his music. 21 Savage, I used to hate his music. Right? I used to, like, dunk on him all the time. Now I actually really love him. Young Thug, hate his music. Dunk on him all the time. Now I actually really love him. Because of what they've contributed to hip-hop. And it made sense. Neither Yeet or Ian are contributing anything to hip-hop. Like that, like, come on, man. Come on. Like, I'm just over it. Jack Harlow's doing a better job, probably running circles around all of them. And then, like, rest in peace, Mac Miller, right? Because he seemed like he genuinely appreciated the craft of hip-hop. And he understood his privilege as a white man in the space. And it felt like he respected it. So rest in peace, Mac Miller. We miss you. Moving on. So as we're talking about music industry and, like, my grievances with it, I kind of want to take this time to talk about why I think the music industry kind of sucks and what this means for me when I'm, like, listening to certain types of music, right? I'm bringing this up because, as you can see here, Lil Nas X is over here, and he has gotten into some controversy with the media. He was seen, I would imagine, yerked up out of his mind. I hope I'm using that term right, yerked. Yerk. Anyway, yerked up out of his mind. And he was walking or roaming the streets of LA in his underwear. There was a camera in his face, and it seemed like they were antagonizing him or asking him questions while he was just walking around. Eventually, he was hospitalized and then sent to jail or arrested. I don't know if he's gotten out of jail, I'm not sure. He's also suffered from Bell's palsy a couple of months ago, right? And every time some sort of thing happens to Lil Nas X, where, like, he's hospitalized, he's going to the hospital for Bell's palsy, he's going to the hospital for, like, this, I guess, bad trip that he's on, overdose that he's on, right? One thing I will say is I noticed that a lot of the Christians will come out and be like, that's what happens when you mess with God. That's what happens when you mess with God, right? And to that I say, there's no hate like Christian love. Because outside of J. Christ, which I thought was a very cheap way of doing a semblance of a satanic panic, I thought that Montero was a masterpiece. Like, I do, especially for him being a queer man who has probably grown up religious or grown up believing in a God that does not respect his lifestyle, that does not respect him. Not even his lifestyle, who he chooses to love. I don't like the idea of lifestyle because it convinces people that, like, your innate attractions are just, like, dwindled down to, like, eat, like, or comparable to deciding that you're gonna eat healthy the rest of your life, right? Like, I just don't, like, I feel like it's an innate, like, if you love who you love, and I don't like that a lot of Christians did not, well, I wouldn't expect them to understand what he was trying to say in the Montero music video. It was spicy, it was controversial. It was Satanic Panic done well because he had something to say. But, I feel like that was the beginning of the end for him to be in favor of a lot of, like, conservative Christians, Then J. Christ came out, and that wasn't that good because it wasn't like he had anything really to say about the religious imagery he was using. It was lazy. Kind of in the same way Cardi B regurgitated the whole WAP phenomenon with Megan Thee Stallion on bongos. Same thing. We'll get to Cardi B in a minute. But you know, Lil Nas X is in the news for, being under the influence, getting arrested, and footage of him just prancing around. I guess Rodeo Drive is being flown everywhere. Christians are like, "That's what you get for being a troll." God don't like ugly, and it's like, high key, they're the ugly sometimes. Anyway, but I think what's really shitty about this whole situation is that Lil Nas X had recently came out with a body of work that really seemed like super authentic to him as an artist and super authentic to the type of artist that he wants to be. I wish I could get a vinyl of this, but this is an album. Like, he came out with an album called Dream Boy, and it's come out in the past, like I want to say it came out April of 2025, right? March of 2025. And some of the songs on there are really good. The concept is really good. He's 100% giving eras. Like, even the music video was very cute. You know what I mean? I can see his influence in like bubblegum pop rap with like Nicki Minaj and Doja Cat. I even him like paying homage to him being a doll. I immediately thought, oh, that feels like he's paying homage to Nicki Minaj in his own unique way. This album was really good. And some of the songs I listened to were very great. Like, amazing. Did not get the push it needed. Did not get the traction it needed. I don't even know if it did well on streams. And what's sad is that this is the body of work where it feels like Lil Nas X really thought things through about his vision for who he wants to be as an artist. He was giving pop boy realness for the girls and the gays. Okay, he was. And it didn't seem like there was a big push for him, even though a lot of the things and the concepts he was doing in the music video were, of good effort and of good quality. You know what I mean? Especially for someone like him who isn't really a dancer, isn't really that strong of a singer, who had started from doing like Old Town Road, which was hijacked by a bunch of kids, and then, evolved into being a more mature artist and letting his audience know openly that he was a queer man, right? And I just think that stinks, that Lil Nas X is resorted, his image and brand is resorting down to him being either doing troll-like behavior or so clearly being under the influence where people need to capitalize, off of that moment and post about that moment on TMZ. Like, him being high out of his mind, nude, borderline nude, on the LA streets is getting more traction than any of the songs that he has came out with on Dream Boy, than the whole Dream Boy album itself. And I just think that's so unfortunate, because you can see that he, like, to me, it felt like he was putting a big, huge effort into like this pop boy rebrand. You know what I mean? Another person I want to talk about is Troye Sivan, because he's also a queer man who has who's a pop boy. He's done pop music. I talked about how he did a Gap commercial as well. And he did his tour with Charlie XCX, and he has some really good songs, right? And I remember there was a TikTok of someone talking about, like, well, where are the pop boys? Where are the pop boys? Why can't we see any pop boys that we actually like and that we actually resonate with? And she made a really good theory. There are pop boys that you can resonate with. It's just that they're all gay. They're all gay and queer, and it's like, you can't relate to that, right? Like, or I'm going to take a shot out of the dark and say that the music industry doesn't want you to relate to that. They don't. It feels like they want their male talent to be queer coded enough where they could be sexually fluid, but women are always at the forefront. I'm thinking about Harry Styles and like his gender fluidity in his album. I don't even know what Harry Styles is doing anymore, but he was it like 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? I'm also thinking about Benson Boone and him wannabe Freddie Mercury head ass doing backflips and shit, right? And spandex. Like, you don't get to be Freddie Mercury without having like Freddie Mercury tendencies, right? For both Harry Styles and for both what's his name? Benson Boone. right? But those are the guys that are being pushed. Those are the pop boys that are being pushed. And then you have like generic millennial based music like Teddy Swims and Alex Warren, and nobody's into that outside of like millennial gray coded adults. Like, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? And it just stinks because these boys are very talented at what they do, and we see like there's a cultural push being happened right now, and I would not be surprised if these men are not getting the push that they need because of how things are shifting culturally and organically, might I say, too. Like the cultural shift to be more conservative and to like honor like gender roles and womanhood and manhood and all of that, it feels very inorganic, and it feels unoriginal. It feels like we've had these conversations before, and it's like, why are we having them now in 2025? It's like they're trying to convince us and feed us propaganda. I'm talking about the media propaganda in letting us think that all the toxicity of what happened 10, 20, 30 years later is okay to do 10, 20, 30 years in the after, like in the present. You know what I mean? And like that's not like, no, like we're not going to go back to unrealistic eating standards. The Biggest Loser documentary that I talked about just came out 2 weeks ago and showed us what happens when you push unrealistic health, fitness, beauty standards. They showed us that. All the contestants that were on the show expressing their experiences. The shitty gym coaches that did not care about their health, that dunked on those who had health issues. The Biggest Loser contestants that unfortunately passed away, that the documentary did not even talk about or discuss, probably because of unhealthy eating practices and some sort of body dysmorphic issues. You know what I mean? It's just like there is a constant effort and push to take us back to the conservative values of the early 2000s, the 99 and the 2000s, right? As if we did not have the knowledge and understanding as to why that way of thinking and that way of living was not beneficial to the greater good of American society. You know what I mean? It's like you want us to go back to when, like, bringing back Sadie Sweeney. You want us to go back to when, blonde hair, blue eyes, big boobs, size 0 was like trending, right? And hot and attractive. You want to bring hot people back, right? You want to bring unrealistic size 00 back, right? But then you're not talking about how a lot of those people had to starve themselves in order to get there, how they had to go through literal EDs in order to get there. You're not talking about the anorexia of it all. Oops, I don't know if I can say that. But like you pick up on what I'm putting down. It's just like there is this push to not go forward and to regress and to feed us watered down, regurgitated versions of what was progressive to a more safe, conservative audience, I guess. Like, again, Benson Boone, like it's like diet Freddie Mercury, like modest Freddie Mercury. You can't do Freddie Mercury modestly. Like, you just can't. It's Freddie fucking Mercury. Like, he died from AIDS. Like, come on, man, right? And to loop in Cardi B with this, right? Because, like I said, I feel like the music industry sucks because like these boys aren't getting pushed the way they need to. And these, like, it feels like Lil Nas X has to do stunts in order to like have people talking about him instead of like actually enjoying his music. It feels like Troye Sivan doesn't get the flowers that he needs, even though he is what we would identify as a pop boy that's very talented, who can sing, dance, and all of that. But I guess because he's not attracted to girls, it's like we can't have him. Like he has to have some semblance of an attraction to girls. And so then to talk about Cardi B real quickly, because she came out with her most recent single, Imaginary Players, and it was trash. It was not good. It was awful. I mentioned this last week, but it felt like she was chasing the beat. I finally understood, because a lot of people have been saying in a lot of her songs, it feels like she's catchy, like she's literally running after the beat. Like she's running after the beat like a cat runs after a mouse. And I did not understand. In this single, I understood. It was awful. I'm not even sorry for it because everyone else dunked on it and said, "No, girl, this single is terrible. This is bad. This like, what are we doing?" Right? Zach Campbell mentioned how even in post there were some editing issues. I guess to hide her stomach because she's pregnant again. Like surprise, surprise, she's pregnant again, right? Which I'm not doing a baby mama conversation. You do what you do, girl, right? But I think what's unfortunate is, and what we can so clearly see right now, when you pull back the big budget, when you pull back the creative direction, when you pull back the squadron of ghostwriters, when you pull back the facade of hyping up Cardi B bigger than what she was, we see that literally anybody could have taken the place of Cardi B because her intention in the music industry, whether she knew it or not, was to take down one particular female rapper that I actually don't like. Like that was her mission, whether she knew it or not. And you know, Barbs are very well versed on this, but they will even let you know that like before Cardi B, there were other rappers that were offered cash deals to diss Nicki, to start a beef with Nicki, to take down Nicki. I'm pretty sure that's why Remy Ma did Sheether. It was good. That was good. Sheether was good, and she clocked some things, as she should have. But it was just like, now what? After Sheether, like now, like what do we do after Sheether? Like what has Remy Ma done? You know what I mean? And I think the veil is finally being lifted with Cardi B. Unfortunately, is that you could swap out Cardi B for any of these rap girls. Lotto, Megan Thee Stallion. You could put Jocelyn Hernandez in there. You could literally swap her out for anything. I think her label, Atlantic Records, bit off more than they can chew by pushing this facade and building up a duplicate of something that could never be copied. Instead of like actually investing in an artist that has their own vision, their own brand, their own like way of doing things, and pushing her. And then if the competition between her and Nicki happens, yay, hurrah, right? If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? I feel like Atlantic Records dropped the ball in signing Cardi B because they really should have signed someone like an Azalea Banks. And let me cook with this statement, okay? Because Azalea Banks could have given Nicki in the 2010s a run for her money. Azalea Banks is very talented. Before she was the internet porch lady, going off on any and everybody, right? She was a phenomenal rapper. She's a very good rapper. And I think if she kept her mouth shut and if she was less problematic, she would probably have a lucrative career in hip hop. And I also think that if she did diss Nicki, and I think she would, like the way she'd be reading people on Twitter, oh, that diss would not have been pretty. Like she would have been where Cardi B is, hands down. And she would have had the fans to support her and be like, well, that makes sense because Azalea Banks can actually rap. She's a rapper. She's a rapper's rapper. Like she for a minute, it felt like she was hip hop. To this day, people still bump her music. Even the current rappers of today take influence from her. Doechii, Alter Ego, that's a Azalea Banks flow, right? But that just proves my point that it literally, like where Cardi B is right now, literally could have been anybody else. It could have been anybody to take her spot. And when you peel back the layers and you come out with a music video like Imaginary Players, right? And it's awful. You kind of see what, you know, you kind of understand like what was really going on, that she was just really used as a tool to replace Nicki, that Atlantic really did not care about putting on an artist that's actually talented, who could probably still replace Nicki if she wanted to, but like is also incredibly talented as well. They don't care about that. And I think that's a bigger issue that I have with the music industry commercially, is that I see so many talented people who do not get their flowers. Artists like Tinashe, who like literally their bodies of work are being stolen, not just overseas but on American soil as well. All right, from every other generic pop girly that these record labels are trying to push out. You see them trying to duplicate what has already been done without saying much about why said thing has been done. I'm thinking about Addison Rae and her rebrand with like the Y2K scene, right? Instead of being like very intentional about utilizing that sound in the way that Pink Pantheress does, right? You see them trying to duplicate another Britney Spears with Tate McRae, except it's falling flat because it just sounds like you're trying to make another Pussycat Doll, you're trying to make another Britney in the production. And again, like what does Tate have to say outside of that, right? And then even some other like smaller like black pop girlies that I've talked about, again, Tinashe, Chloe Bailey, Victoria Monet, all of these girls that I feel like deserve their flowers are never going to get it because of just how awful the music industry is and just how like toxic it can be. Like, y'all barely give any of these girls a chance, right? Like, ever, right? Like, you don't, like, if they cough wrong, you have something to say. Even thinking about the current rap girlies out right now that are killing it. Doechii, y'all called her an industry plant. Megan, y'all are still hung up over that Tory Lanez. You won't, like, I almost wonder where Megan would be if the Tory Lanez situation did not happen. I feel like she would have still been successful, but y'all are just harping on the fact that her success is rooted in her taking down a black man, and people just fail to remember that Tory Lanez was a literal menace to society before he pew-pewed Megan. Okay? Like, so there's that. And then Doja Cat, like, well, she's going through her biracial struggles, but y'all will clown her for not being hip-hop enough or going back to pop or going back to what works because music's a business, right? Like, y'all will clown these girls, clown them for like making an effort of making music. Y'all say that Megan's flow sounds the same. Y'all say Doechii steals flow from other people, and y'all say that Doja Cat isn't really hip-hop. But then y'all will make excuses for someone like Cardi B. Y'all will make excuses for her. Y'all will be like, well, industry, imaginary players, you know, she was trying something different. Well, Bongos wasn't great, but, you know, she did her big one, you know, like, you know, she's a mom. And it's like, girl, no, like, why are you making excuses? And even then, I just feel like it's also disrespectful for someone like a Cardi B, who obviously isn't hip-hop, who would much rather could build a strong platform off of just being a personality, like a TV personality, going back to reality TV, starting a podcast, doing a reality TV show, or starting a fashion brand or something. Like, that is probably her pocket in influencing people, right? But like, let's be real, like, shit, like, y'all did her dirty thinking that she can replace Nicki. Like, and as somebody who does not rock with Nicki, who does not fuck with Nicki, who I think Nicki has her own issues that I cannot get over, right? Y'all were awful in convincing this woman that she could go up against Nicki. And when you strip back the amount of funding that embellished the idea that she could go against her, right? You can so clearly tell that, like, she doesn't have it, right? And that spot could have been taken or been utilized by someone who does. That's all I'm saying, you know? And again, Cardi's probably going through a divorce. She's probably pregnant again, so she's going through a lot right now. But like, that doesn't excuse anything, right? It's like, I don't know. I'm just kind of getting tired. And I also feel a way that I was bamboozled in 2018 to take the side of Cardi B back then. When people were like saying that she was the new queen of hip hop because she came out with Up and they leveraged like payola and bot streaming in order to push the song. When Up was like a fabulous music video, but really the song was just okay. WAP was saved by Megan Thee Stallion saved both WAP. She saved both WAP and she saved bongos with her hard verses. You know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, you could argue that Cardi B is the first woman who, like, you know, knocked down doors to allow for other hip hop girlies to pave the way. Sure, you can argue that. But then also, you have to understand that, like, Cardi B kind of needed those features too in order to maintain relevancy, which, like, I'm not mad at it because I do appreciate how she did knock down doors in order for new women in hip hop to create space. But, like, I think the phenomenon of Cardi B is interesting in that now you can kind of see that, like, the facade of, like, pushing someone for the sake of just pushing them is no longer feasible anymore. Like, people are looking for talent, you know, people are looking for individuals who can make a song, individuals who are really about that life, individuals who are hip hop. And it seems like, you know, Cardi is, you know, unfortunately falling short. Again, she has a lot going on. I'm also, like, a little put off about that whole Samira situation. I did not like the way she handled that, but it's neither here nor there. Basically, I say all this to say that I believe that the music industry kind of sucks right now, or it has always sucked, and that they've done a bunch of shady shit and have, like, you know, dismantled people's careers and uplifted other people's careers. I think about Normani too, and how she was signed to RCA, and they did not give her, like, I feel like she's one of those artists that really needed like a team to really take care of her so that she can do what she needs to. But she never got that team, right? And then meanwhile, her ex-bandmate Camila Cabello is not selling in the way that, like, I guess they want her to. Like, she's not the big pop diva that they want her to. She's not the Sabrina Carpenter that they want her to be. Okay, all right. And, like, they still keep pushing her. They still keep pushing her, and they still keep, like, putting her out there. And it's like her music doesn't connect with, like, most audiences, right? Huh? And then I think about, like, Ice Spice and how that, like, why that was even a thing. Like, that should not have happened. No. And then, like, the lies that they tried to convince me that Ice Spice was, like, oh, such a relatable, pretty girl. Like, oh, she's so, no. Like, she wasn't even an industry plant. She was just an industry placeholder. I think she was used to just incite beef amongst Lotto and pave the way for Doechie's Alligator Bites Never Heals. Like, I just don't appreciate the shitty games that the music industry, the mainstream music industry plays. And so, with that in mind, I think I'm going to be a little bit more conscious about the music I listen to. I'm probably going to start listening to, like, a lot smaller bands, a lot smaller artists, and supporting them, because I just don't like the idea that there are artists out here who are actually trying and they don't get the push that they need because that's not what's hot right now, or America isn't ready for a new queer, like, the queer boy, right? And I can see America being ready for a queer girl, because unfortunately girls that are lesbians or bisexuals or just queer in general, they tend to get sexualized before they are respected, unfortunately. And I think, you know, queer boys don't get that privilege, unfortunately. If you could even call it a privilege. And that stinks. You know, Dream Boy was it was done so well. And I don't think it's going to get the accolades that it deserves. Troye Sivan is doing big things. It's not going to get the accolades that he deserves. And Cardi B, honestly, like, low key could have been replaced by anybody. She could have been anybody, And there could have been someone with way, way more talent, way more effort that could, or, well, Cardi B did put in effort, but like much more talent and like really about that hip hop life that could have taken up space where Cardi B is. You know what I mean? So, but that's how the industry works. And then you have all these other talented individuals where you're just sitting in the background like, well, why aren't they getting the traction that they need, the funding that they need, the support that they need, the push that they need? Where is my black pop girl? Why do you guys keep shoving SZA into the R&B category when she's coming out with pop punk and classic yacht rock songs? Why? Like, I grow tired. I grow tired. And I just don't like that. So, and then Zara Larsson. Freaking Zara Larsson. Never-ending Midnight Sun, bitch. Go support this woman. She's very talented. She's incredibly talented. She can sing, she can dance, she has a unique voice. Why aren't we supporting her yet? Why is she headlining Tate McRae's tour? She should have her own tour. Like, come on. She's so talented. All right. That's enough for me. That's enough for me. I hope Midnight Sun interview. I want to be the number one. Yes, Zara, you do want to be the number one. All right. And then Taylor Swift's coming out with a Showgirl album, a new album. No, girl, nobody cares about your album now that you're with your MAGA boyfriend. Like, come on. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of the music industry, I do like Doja Cat a lot. I do like her music, and I used to get burned at the stake for saying this because she's very anti-BLK. She is, and I think the reason why she can't, like, hip hop won't really respect her like that is because of the anti-BLK-ness. Like, the thing about hip hop, and I think I've said this before, is that genre is still catering to the male gaze. If you have a woman in hip hop, the reason why Chica won't take off in the same way that a Cardi B will is because the sex appeal isn't there. And as much as these musty, dusty dude bros that don't know how to wash their ass, have never heard of Dr. Bronner's in their life, would like to say, I want a real hip hop artist. Why do these girls have to always take off their clothes? Why are they naked? Why are they always talking about their coochie? I don't understand, right? In actuality, they would never take time out of their day to listen to someone like a Chica. They'd never take time out of their day to listen to someone like a Raspberry. And you know why? Because they can't see themselves now. All right, like, part of the vision of being like hip hop, right, is that you have to appease that audience. You have to appease the black male audience, like, point blank, period. You have to play that delicate role of, play the delicate dance of being aspirational to the girls who enjoy hip hop while also still being fuckable to the boys that listen to hip hop. And so, a good example, Megan Thee Stallion. They will sit there and hate on Megan Thee Stallion till the cows come home. She's bringing the black man down, and Tory Lanez this and Tory Lanez that, and Rock Nation and all this other BS. But when it's all said and done, okay, they probably have a couple of Megan Thee Stallion twerk videos saved. They probably have a couple of Meg Thee Stallion's photos saved on her IG. They're probably out here screaming about how, you know, Chica and Raspberry are real rappers and very talented, and they are. And are, but will still tune into the latest Megan Thee Stallion music video to see her throw it around in a circle. Okay, like, and so with that in mind, Doja Cat's decisions, it all started in the 4chan chat room when she was twerking. She was twerking in front of those racist white boys. Which, like, if you're chronically online like myself, I kind of understood what she was trying to do. Like, I'm not excusing it, right? But that's troll behavior. That's just troll behavior on the internet, right? That's pretty 4chan chat room behavior, right? Could there be an identity crisis there? Yes. Am I surprised? No. She's a biracial girl living in America. Father who is the minority, the black one, like, he's not in her life. Like, I'm not surprised that she's going through some semblance of an identity crisis, okay? But as soon as that happened, As soon as that happened, and then she said she wanted to do hip hop. Oh yeah, nah, that they weren't gonna welcome her with open arms. And what's sad is that Scarlet was a great album. That album was good. That album was great. That was some good shit out of Scarlet, right? But between her doing the Satanic Panic stuff, which really had a commentary, she did a really good job with that one. With bitch, I said what I said. That song, and then Paint the Town Red, and then Demons. Like, she did her big one on those, right? She used her Satanic Panic card well. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think they're ever going to, like, hip hop is never really going to welcome Doja Cat, even though she is a hip hop artist that does pop music. And I think the reason why is because of all the antics that she's done. It has nothing to do with her talent, because the talent is there. It's been there. Okay? It has everything to do with her clearly showing that she has a type, that she has a preference, and her preference is not that of a black man. And I think that because her preferences are so prevalent, even in who she dates, like, she hasn't dated. She be up under those white boys. And those white boys do not be cute. But she's up under those white boys. Okay? Except for Eddie from Stranger Things. He's cute. But like, I don't see hip hop really accepting her in that way. I see hip hop always saying that she isn't really about it, just because she's made it clear that her preference is not those who consume hip hop. And that's unfortunate, because I still consider her a hip hop artist. And I just also consider her very talented, you know? I think that where I stand with Doja Cat is there's a lot of things I don't like about her. Like, I don't like how she treats her fans. I also don't like how she, the identity crisis that's going on with her internally, like, I'm not really a fan of. I'm just not a fan of it, right? Like, I can't get behind it. But I sit and I think about how many excuses that male hip hop artists have for all the problematic shit that they've done. I sit and I think about Kanye and how people will jump through hoops making excuses for that man. He's on Tucker Carlson. Oh, he's just speaking the truth. He's interviewing Nick Fuentes. Oh, you know, he's just trying to see a different perspective. He says that he thinks Hitler was an excellent man. Girl, come on. Like, some of the shit that some of y'all's fave female rappers do isn't nearly as bad as what Kanye has gotten himself into, but y'all keep making excuses for him because he makes good music. So with that logic, can I ask, why can't I make excuses for Doja Cat? Like, why can't I? Some of y'all's favorite rappers have beaten on women, have stepped out on women, don't pay their kids any mind, be working with racist people. Didn't Lil Durk work with Morgan Wallen and that song Broadway Girls? No one gonna talk about that? You just let that happen? Didn't Morgan Wallen say the N-word too? Like, come on. And it's just like, Doja Cat does truly problematic things, Daniel Caesar-esque adjacent things, right? She also had that shirt of the fascist dude. I don't know. I don't know what was going on there, but the Nazi, I don't know. But like, at the end of the day, the amount of excuses that we make for men, like, this is a toxic take. I don't care. But the amount of excuses we make for men, I feel like I can enjoy Doja Cat and like her music and excuse some of the antics that she does. I won't like them, but as long as the music keeps slapping, I'll be okay. I'll be okay, right? Jealous Type, with that in mind, Jealous Type, and this new V era that she's in. Yes. First of all, I love Vaporwave, 80s. Someone called it the Apollonia sound. Apollonia was Prince's girlfriend. The Prince sound. I love that funky 80s type beat. I do. It's near and dear to my heart. It's nice. And I think she executes it well. I think that a lot of some pop artists are like trying to take it back a decade. I noticed with Charlie XCX, it felt like she was taking it back to like 2000s rave scene. Sabrina Carpenter and Victoria Monet. Victoria Monet originally, taking it back to the 60s and 70s, right? And then Doja Cat's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do an 80s album. And I'm over here like, you know what? Hell yeah. You know, like I've heard inklings of the 80s sound through bands like 1975. I heard it a little bit in what little I listened to of, well, I tried to listen to all of Tortured Poets Department, but I couldn't get through it, from Taylor Swift. Even in Manchild with Sabrina Carpenter, I heard inklings of that sound too. I wonder if she's gonna play on that sound in her new album, Girl's Best Friend. I don't know. And then even in like Charlie XCX or Chappell-Roan's tone in some of her songs, it sounds very glam rocky. You know what I mean? Which was, you know, a popular music genre of the 80s. But I have yet to hear an artist really dig into that Apollonia funky Prince type of sound, with the exception of Doja Cat. Like a lot of artists as of in the past like 20 years, I feel like hasn't really gotten in there with it. Like really just sat in that funky retro sound, and Doja Cat is doing it. And I'm here for it. I'm excited. I'm probably gonna love this album a lot. It's probably gonna be one of my favorite albums. I'm probably gonna get a vinyl. Yes, because this album is probably gonna be really good. It sounds promising. Jealous Type was amazing. The music video was awesome. Like it felt like one of those AI videos of like the 80s mob wife penthouses. Great. I thought she did a great job. I did. So yes, big fan of Doja Cat's music. Big fan of where she's going in this era. Mind you, she's the only artist I've really seen in a while actually give us healthy eras. Rihanna's done that before, but like Doja, I guess because the budget behind Doja Cat is huge, right? Like every single chapter, like from Planet Her to like Scarlet to now, even when she's interviewing, there's like an era. Like Scarlet, she was bald, full. You could see that whole entire light bulb head she has, light bulb shaped head that she has. I love the shape of her head. Okay, but like this era, like even in the interview, she has like big 80s hair. Like she's really leaning into this vision, right? And I love that. I love it a lot. I'm a fan. Go stream Jealous Type. Okay, so Chance the Rapper. I've been listening to Starline. I don't know why I called this Starlight beforehand. It's actually called Starline. My apologies. And I got halfway through the album. And here's how I feel. I like Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper was the rapper that got me into listening to more hip hop artists. I listened to his entire discography. Then I moved to Kanye. Then I moved to other artists as well. J. Cole, you know, Kendrick Lamar. I was always listening to Kendrick Lamar, but I like really was like getting in there listening to him like a lot better. Starline isn't bad. It's just that Chance the Rapper is a conscious rapper. And there's nothing, like, I love me a good self-conscious rapper, a rapper who's going to rap about, like, the political landscape. Like, I love that. It just feels like acid rap to me. It feels like acid rap when it first came out was, like, so new and fresh. And I think the point of Starline was it's supposed to feel like acid rap, right? Like, that's the intentionality behind it. But I kind of want something new. With that in mind, I'm still probably going to listen to the album. I'm still probably going to buy the vinyl. I think that conscious rappers are important. They are very important. Let me get my face big for this, okay? And the reason why they're important, because it prevents culture vultures like Ian, Yeet, Central C, and whoever the fuck else to take up space, or what we've seen now with Drake, right, and his demise, to take up space where they need not be. So just because I'm not a fan of a conscious rapper, just because, you know, I might have my criticisms about, you know, Starline, or I have my criticisms about J. Cole, though I never really had too many criticisms. Just because I am like, Don't know if I like the whole rap Jesus facade going on, you know, with Kendrick. You know, just because I'm like that doesn't mean that they're not needed or they're not necessary or the type of body of work that they're coming out is whack. You know, it's not whack. It's important. They're important. They need to be here. Someone like a Chance the Rapper needs to keep making music and needs to be the voice of, you know, the current music landscape and say all the hard things that a lot of commercially successful rappers are probably not going to be willing to say. I respect Chance the Rapper a lot. I respect the type of music that he comes out with, and even if I'm not a fan of his current body of work right now, still doesn't mean that I won't support him, and it still doesn't mean that I won't support his vision of what he's trying to do. I'm very excited to see what type of music he comes up with in the future. And honestly, like, we need more Chance the Rappers. We need more Chance the Rappers. We need more people to check. They need to G-check a lot of the new rap folks that are out. Because when you have hip-hop commentators who are saying that, like, the bop sound is whack, white hip-hop commentators who are like speaking on things that they don't know or don't understand because they haven't lived that era and they don't respect the genre. They're just, you know, capitalizing off of it because it's trending. Like, I have a problem. And so I think Chance needs to be here. I think Chance needs to keep making music. I think Kendrick needs to keep making music. I think J. Cole needs to keep making music. I think they are a good playing field and like they're a good representation in leveling out the hip hop industry. Because if we don't have them, then we'll have too many Ians and Yeats, and I can't have that. I can't have that. And then they turn into the Drake 2.0. Meanwhile, this is a whole white guy. Like, no, we can't have that. And I high-key miss Mac Miller because I feel like, excuse me, I feel like he would especially balance things out. You know what I mean? And shout out to Eminem too, because he also keeps these white boys in line as well. No one's going toe to toe with Eminem. No one's touching that dude. He will out-rap all of you. But yeah, I'm probably gonna support this body of work. I'm probably gonna listen to it. I might have to listen to it a couple times before it grows on me, but it is what it is. So yeah, gotta finish this album. Can't wait to tell you guys my thoughts on it when I do. But so far so good. I'd give it a solid like 6 out of 10. All right, here are some rock albums that I'm listening to. I'm taking an excursion into rock music. I'm also thinking about developing a curriculum of like heavy metal. So on TikTok, the girls are developing curriculums. All right, they're developing learning curriculums in response to the anti-intellectualist movement that's going on, and they're developing curriculums on things that they are genuinely interested in. It can range from letter making to fashion to amoebas to sea kelp. Like, it's all types of stuff, right? Just things that interest them. They're a little hyperfixation. I think I'm going to do the same thing, and I think my curriculum is probably going to focus on rock music and comics with the focus on heavy metal. Because heavy metal is very zen to me, and I like the sound of the music. It's very nice. And so the bands that I'm listening to, so I've already mentioned that I've been listening to Deftones, right? I've listened to White Pony about 3 times. I've listened to White Pony about 3 times, and I listened to it twice when I was working out at home. I am working every time I listen to them during leg day, right? Leg and glute day. And then I also listened to them once when I was drawing. And I don't know, they're just very calming to me. It calms my nervous system. It helps me focus on timing my reps. There's this method called the 2-1-1 method, where you lift up in like a 2-second increment and then you like squeeze for 1 second and then you drop and then you do it again. It really helps in me trying to, time those things. So yeah, I would say that White Pony calms my nervous system, and I really like how they help me focus when I'm working out. Some of my favorite songs so far are Digital Bath and RX Queen, though if I decide to listen to more of their, like, this album again, I'm probably gonna find another favorite song. I just find it, like, I listen to these albums like all in one go while I'm exercising, so I never know what my favorite song is or what the name of the song is unless like I am really invested in it and I want to go back and listen. So yeah, White Pony, like it, very fun. Going through their whole discography, so I'm starting from the ground up. I also listened to their 2003 self-titled album as well. And I listened to this on Friday, and I'm probably also going to listen to this album 3 times as well. I don't know what it is, but these 2 albums really calm my nervous system. I don't know. They just make me very focused, very like zoned in. So far, my favorite song is Pins and Needles. I like that song. But like I said, I'm probably going to go back again and listen to this album another 2 times. And then I'm going to come back to you guys and probably have more songs that I actually like. But yeah, I'm so far, self-titled 2003 and White Pony are probably my 2 favorite albums for right now. I've also listened to more Pierce the Veil because I really like them a lot. And this band is my new hyperfixation. I really like the sound. I can see how people, when they first came out in like the early 2010s, how people would be like, oh, they sound so whiny. But like, if you're like, that's the pop punk sound. Like, they're supposed to sound whiny, And I love that. I seriously love everything that they do. I love their music. I listened to Misadventures for the first time last week when I was doing my upper body day. And, my favorite song from them is Today I Saw the Whole World. I don't know what it is about that song, but like it would be a great song to draw superheroes to. I don't know, like, or to ink superheroes to, like in comics, like, inking. I don't know. It's just like, it's a very cool song. I like it. It makes me feel, it helps me unleash my inner Kyle. So, I can't believe I said that, but no, it's really good. It's really good. So yes, really a big fan of Pierce the Veil. Big fan of their music. Really like what they've come out with. I didn't even know that they've only come out with like a few, like 4 or 5 albums. I thought they came out with more, but I would imagine when they first debuted in like the early 2010s, we were already pivoting out of the pop punk sound and we were getting more like hip hop focused. So I can see how people were not that invested in, the band like that. But regardless, love all these albums. I love this journey I'm going on, and I'll let you know if I get that curriculum started. Maybe I'll do like little segments or little YouTube videos where it's like what I've learned about Black Sabbath or something. I don't know. Anyway. All right, so this is like an indie artist spotlight. As I said beforehand, I want to take some time to spotlight some of my favorite indie artists, right? Or not even indie artists, just like smaller artists that I think are doing big things. And I really like Jay Stevens. She's been on my TikTok for quite some time. She is it. That's all I could say. She is it. If you're looking for a Black pop girl, I would imagine it would be her. Her sound is very early 2000s Neptunes, Pharrell, funky type of sound, you know what I mean? And I really appreciate that she I don't know, really respects that time period of music. I don't see a lot of people who take from that type of production and like interpolate on it where it sounds very unique to from for today. Um my favorite songs from her are Body Favors and After Body. Body Favors definitely has like a Pharrell like Neptune sound, and After Body as well. But it's like I don't know if you like that Timbaland. Well, Timbaland is different from Pharrell's sound, but like if you like that Pharrell Williams sound, if you like that Neptune sound, if you like songs that you can really just like dance to, I would definitely listen to Jay Stevens. I think she's incredibly talented at what she does. I think she's amazing, an amazing artist. I think she has the it factor in being a pop girl. Like when you think of a pop girl, with the exception of Tinashe, I would put Jay Stevens up there as well. So go support Jay Stevens, please, 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 please. Like take time out of your day, listen to some quality, go support her. Okay. All right. So this is just like a question I have. First and foremost, I didn't know this dude was wearing. This was like a dude that was wearing a mask. I didn't know. I thought that he was. I thought this was just like their avatar. I didn't know this was like the front man for Sleep Token. And the reason why I'm bringing up Sleep Token is because I'm trying to figure out why people hate this band so much. Okay? And it's anywhere in between. It's too genre bending where like metalheads don't like get the metal feeling from them, right? They don't get the metal codedness from them. And then like mainstream people might think they're too metal. It's like they're trying to genre bend, and they're doing so in a way where people don't like it. And I think my theory is, so far, I haven't listened to like a lot of them, but it might be that it feels disingenuous. It doesn't feel like they're genre bending with intention. It feels like Imagine Dragons heavy metal, I guess. And we all know like Imagine Dragons is very corporate, nondescript heavy metal, maybe. I don't know if you can even call them metal. They also have like trap sounds too. I don't know, because I feel like, I don't know, if Lil Uzi Vert did something like Sleep Token, everyone would eat it up, right? If Playboy Cardi did that, something like Sleep Token, everybody would eat it up. But like I don't know. Anyway, I've also heard that people don't like this band because they make like dark romantic-y music. And if you guys don't know what the dark romance genre is, it's basically like 50 Shades of Grey, fantasy, dark fantasy, like kinky BDSM, you know what I mean? And so like that's the type of music that he makes, right? Or the band makes. I like to also call this music like pent up millennial soccer mom music. You know, the soccer mom who's probably with a husband who doesn't even know where the clit is, and she has to read a bunch of dark romantic-y novels in order to get her groove back, and she has a vibrator on one hand and Sleep Token playing in the background. Like, I don't know, that's the type of music that I think Sleep Token makes, right? But there's nothing wrong with that. I like slutty metal. I love slutty heavy metal. I can get behind slutty heavy metal. I've had wonderful experiences with slutty heavy metal, mind you, intimate experiences. So anyway, but regardless, I have to figure out why y'all are not a fan. Is it because they're popular? Because now, Sleep Token isn't just subjected to being the dark romantic-y 50 Shades of Grey, pent up soccer mom, millennial soccer mom type of music, right? Pierce the Veil is in there too now because of that sexy guitar riff and So Far So Fake. And so I'm trying to find it out. Is it because they're popular, or is it because dark romance TikTok hijacks these songs in order to like talk about like their kinky fetishes that they read in a book? Like, I'm trying to figure it out, right? Like, just help me, right? I don't mind Sleep Token. I like the Summoning. And I must thank you for it. I like that song, okay? Oh, baby. That sounds pretty hot, so, you know. But I also hear that they do trap music or trap sounds, and I don't know. I just, like I said, I feel like if Lil Uzi Vert did something similar, everyone would eat it up. But or Trippie Redd, I don't know. Just my humblest opinion. But anyway, that was just on my mind. That was just something I was thinking about while we talk about music. So yes, I think those are all my takes about music so far. So now I'm gonna talk about TikTok nonsense that I don't have time for. Okay, so this is like the TikTok chapter of my deck. All right, we're almost done, guys. So I'm sorry, but a woman got on TikTok and said that plain Janes are the real baddies. And she gave an elaborate explanation. And we're gonna because I wasted 67 seconds of my life listening to it. I'm gonna link. We're gonna look at the video that was posted, and I'll do a live commentary of it. But the reason why she said plain Janes are the real baddies is because she noticed that all the rich men pick the plain Janes. They marry up the plain Janes. They want to be with the plain Janes. Okay. They don't want to be with the bad bitch who who spent like an hour to 2 hours on her full face beat, who's very intentional with her clothes. They want the plain Jane girls who barely wear any makeup, right? And like my first question is there paint? I'll pull up paint because this is important, all right? You know WWJD, What Would Jesus Do? This is my own version of this, but with like with women. Okay, so WWA M B T. Okay, so religion has WWJD, Christianity has WWJD, Exodus has WWAMBT. And that stands for, let me see if I can make this big. Okay. WWAMBT. Okay. Hope you guys are with me. Oh no. Oh well. Can I go back and type on it? Oh no! We're having technical difficulties, but WWAMBT. Okay. And you know what this stands for? Okay. Why would a man be there? Why would a man be there? Why would a man be there? Why is a man dictating the thoughts of how you choose to present yourself in the world? Why? Why would he be there infiltrating your thoughts? This hypothetical rich man that you don't even know if you're gonna even get, that you don't even know if you like. Oh, but he has the bag. Okay, and he's abusing you and whacking you upside the head. Like, come on. Like, why would a man be there? Why are these arguments from, I'm sorry, I gotta say it, a lot of these pick-me women who like to be like, pick me, I don't wear makeup, pick me, I'm relatable, I'm down to earth. Why is it always revolved around men? It's not plain Janes are the real baddies because they're just naturally beautiful and girls always gravitate to them, and they have wonderful personalities, and they're just like super down to earth, you know, or, well, you could be down to earth as a baddie, right? Or, you know, they're just like really funny, or like something very thoughtful about how a plain Jane type of person, or a person who doesn't wear a lot of makeup, or who doesn't like do a lot to their face, right, is contributing to like the greater good of like their friends and their community. No, plain Janes are the real baddies because men are picking them. Why would a man be there? Why would he be there? Why would he exist in your thought process as to whether or not you decide to wake up every morning and put on makeup, or decide not to put on makeup? Why? Like, the reason why baddies are called baddies is because they're still doing the 2016 bridal makeup, the 2017 birthday makeup, with no fucks given, with no intention of whether or not a man actually cares or will actually pick them. That's why they're baddies. They're not baddies because they skip the YouTube courses on how to, or the YouTube university on how to blend eyeshadow, like plain Janes do. Like, girl, like, really, it's giving. If you can't do your own makeup, then just say that. Like, you would love to know how to do a full face bead. You would love to know how to blend out eyeshadow properly. You would love to know how to embellish your lips so that they fit your face type. Why are you sitting in the corner of your Nissan Altima talking about why plain Janes are the real baddies? And why does it always have to come down? It always has to boil down to it being because a man will pick you, not because you genuinely like the way you look. The real plain Janes that are baddies don't give a fuck about whether or not a man is going to pick them. They're like, bitch, I just woke up today and I'm cute and I'm awesome and I'm a great person. And they go about their day. They're not nan man in sight. Nan man in sight. And you resorted your whole argument to, well, wealthy men will pick me. Wealthy men will check for me. Wealthy men won't check for the baddie girl. Girl, yes, they do. They check for the baddie girl on their hidden Instagram feed. You just gotta look through his phone. He's with you because you're safe. Like, which is again, full segue back. It's again why would a man be there? Why would a man be in your thoughts? Why would a man be there? Why? WWAMPT. Okay, because you're over here thinking about whether or not this dude, this hypothetical wealthy man, will probably pick you, instead of figuring out how you can pick yourself and get some money going so that you don't need to wait for a wealthy dude to pick you and sit there being a bobblehead of a housewife. Like, come on. All right, so let's listen to what she has to say. Okay, hold on. So we're gonna waste 67 seconds together, guys.
Okay, so one thing that I don't like about being like a natural, like plain Jane, pretty kind of chick, is how I'm shocked that you could pull a rich man. Do y'all not understand that whole baddie aesthetic that y'all keep putting on a pedestal is not popular amongst nobody but women and rappers?
I'm gonna rant about the baddie aesthetic real quick, because I think people are pivoting away from the baddie aesthetic, and it's no longer trending because of this rebrand we're going through. Okay, trad wife, clean girl, baddie, IG grade level makeup is not gonna fit in that aesthetic, because the overarching idea is that you want to be a wife, you want to be a clean girl, you want to be a natural girl, you want to be a no makeup girl, because you need to be presentable to your potential husband. Okay? And here's the thing, all right? When you revolve your whole entire life around what men think of you, and whether or not men will pick you, and whether or not men are interested in you, it really does hinder your experimental phase with your life. It really does hinder how you experiment with your looks, whether or not you're willing to change your aesthetics up, really find which aesthetic resonates with you. Because why on God's green earth do we actually care who we can pull if we're trying to look like baddies? Like, why do we actually care? Like, why do you care? This hypothetical rich man. And then here's the thing, because this type of shit really pisses me off. I'm gonna make my camera big, okay? Stop pedestalizing men who have a lot of money. You should not trust a man who got money like that, who has a buttload of money. That's breeding ground for abuse. Like, do you not see? Like, do you not see? Especially if you don't come from means, that's breeding ground for abuse. You're not going to attract a rich man if you're not doing rich bitch shit. Okay, like, point blank period. Stop watching the advice on how to get a rich man. You know, go to a bar, order this drink, antagonize this man in a 3-piece tailored suit. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Okay. What do you do for a living? What do you do? Hi, Leslie. Thank you. Wow. It's awesome to see you. We're talking about plain Janes are the real baddies because they get picked by the wealthy men. All right. And how that's a dumb mindset to have. Okay. The reason why wealthy men are picking plain Janes is because, or plain Jane looking women, which we really don't even know if they're plain Jane or if they're just working their ass off, it's probably because they're doing things similar to what they do. All right. So yeah, the plain Jane that the wealthy man is picking, right? It's probably like wealthy herself. You know, like, that's why. It has nothing to do with how they look and everything to do with, like, okay, so what are you going to, you know what I mean? Right? Like, of course, like, men are kind of visual, but, like, still, it's just, like, so stupid, the advice we give young girls. Because at first, it was like the body aesthetic is damaging to young girls because it makes them put on all this type of makeup and alter their face and want to get all this surgery in order to look like anybody but themselves. That's at first where we were going with the body aesthetic, right? And now we're gradually moving into this era of, well, no, we want to be plain Janes because once again, we want to be picked by these men because men are picking us, because men find attraction in us in our natural men. And to which I say, once again, in your thought process, WWAMBT. Why would a man be in your thought process of how you choose to show up in the world today? This hypothetical man, this hypothetical wealthy man, who probably isn't going to marry you if you don't have much going for yourself anyway. All right? The wealthy man is probably marrying the plain Jane girl because she's probably doing like wealthy bitch shit. She probably don't got time. She don't got time to be over here, you know, being a baddie. But like, she has her shit together. It's not because she looks plain. And honestly, the girls who do have their shit together and do rich bitch shit, they're the number one girls who probably end up looking like baddies anyway. It's just resorting these arguments down to, oh, you must do A in order to obtain husband. You must do B in order to obtain husband. In order to obtain husband with means. And not, you should do A or B because it feels nice. Because you should love yourself. Because you should accept who you are as a person. Because not everybody really needs to do the baddie aesthetic. It's okay to be a cutie patootie. I like the cutie patootie v baddie trend that I talked about last week. That shit was adorable. That shit was cute. That was adorable. Go back to that. No one was trying to figure out whether or not a man would pick them. It was more so about women figuring out and people figuring out what type of pretty and what type of sensual they were and leaning into that and leveraging that to their benefit, whether or not a man was in there. And the question, this whole argument is, well, men like to pick rich women. And it's like, girl, or men like to pick plain Jane. Rich men like to pick plain Jane women. And girl, like, who cares? Like, what? Okay. Anyway, how has your day been so far? It's been pretty well. I'm almost done with this stream, actually. And I'm looking forward to resting. I gotta start Peacekeeper sometime today or tomorrow, because I heard it's out and I hear it's really good. So I'm gonna start it. But anyway, let's continue.
That's the only people who like that. Men in the entertainment industry.
And then another thing is, like, who said that women are dressing like bad bitches to attract men in the entertainment industry? When I put on a full face of makeup, I'm not trying to attract a rapper. I'm trying to feel myself. When I put on a full face of makeup, this is what I'm saying to myself every single time. Why would a man be there? Why would he dictate how I put on my makeup?
Like, nobody's impressed by that look. Do y'all not see that most of these rich men are wifing up naturally pretty women? Katseye Gap's girlfriend is natural. LeBron James' wife is natural. Tootsie's girlfriend is natural. Like, all that extra looking stuff, like, yeah, you might get a trick. You know what I'm saying? But
why? Like I said again, why are we worried so much about like what these men are picking, who these men are picking? Why can't it just be like, I'm trying to experiment with my makeup today. I want to go out and I want to feel cute. I want to go out and I want to feel myself. Like, why does it always revolve around obtaining a wealthy, like a rich man and marrying somebody and coupling up with somebody? Like, when are we going to end the curse of worrying about whether or not a man will be there? It's not that it never is that serious. A lot of the times men don't even know what they want. So like, girl,
men like naturally pretty women. Y'all keep on asking, well, how come the plain Jane, they the ones with the good men? Because that's what men like. Y'all need to stop trying to.
And it's like, I don't give a shit what men like. I don't. Because men don't even know what they like.
Get yourself otherwise. That's why I'm not really like a girl's girl, because y'all really be lying to yourself just to cope. Talking about I'm a baddie. Like, if you need all that extra stuff to be bad, you're not a real baddie.
I just be so tired. I be so tired. I be so tired. And I don't want to like roast her too much, but I already know the type of person that she is as an individual. I just know the type of individual that she is. Not nice. Pick me, choose me, pick me. like girl, and I'm pretty sure she thought she ate with this statement. But I think the bigger discussion here is we gotta stop selling this pipe dream of getting picked by men to women, especially black women. Like, we gotta stop. Because at the end of the day, these men are not, like, we don't even know what these men are into. They're humans, right? You don't even know what you're into 90% of the time. You might have a taste for Colby Jack cheese, and then 5 weeks later you have Havarti cheese and you're like, oh shit, that actually tastes good. You don't know what you have a taste for. People's taste for things change constantly, and what you think someone is attracted to might be totally different than what they're actually into. All right, so constantly fiending and trying to find out what, like, men of all things, men of all people are interested in and what they're attracted to, and using people comparable to like streamers, LeBron, Savannah James. I'm pretty sure Savannah James is a baddie. Like she puts that shit on. I'm pretty sure she puts that shit on. I'm so sorry, but like, also, Savannah James is a day one. Like, she's a day one. Like, she was with this man when they were in prom together in high school. Like, come on. Like, I'm pretty sure if she wore a full face of makeup, LeBron would still be up in it. Like, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, because you look plain doesn't mean that you're gonna automatically get a LeBron James. Okay, and furthermore, you don't want a basketball player anyway. Those niggas cheat all the time. Like, come on. Like, let's be real here. And no, she does look stunning. She looks stunning and she looks beautiful. And their family is so beautiful too. But it's just like, You, the average 9 to 5 person, I'm not trying to get like toxic with this shit, but I'm gonna be real. You, the average 9 to 5 person who isn't out here doing rich bitch shit, has a less likelihood chance of obtaining a wealthy guy, all by looking plain and regular. I can promise you. 9 times out of 10, a lot of those women, with the exceptions of the Katseye Knots and the LeBron James of the world, a lot of those women are doing rich bitch shit, okay? And like sometimes when you do rich bitch shit, no, you don't have time to take care of yourself, okay? But it's like, can we just be freed from this nonsense of whether or not these men are picking us? Can we be freed from that? Can we encourage women and girls that you don't have to be picked in order to have a fulfilled life? It's nice to be picked. It's great. It's great being in a relationship. I love it here. But at the end of the day, it's not the be all and end all. Especially with how high divorce rates are nowadays. Especially with the burden a lot of women carry when they get married. Like, can we just have a conversation about sometimes you just won't get picked and that's okay? I feel like she did this in purpose. I feel like a lot of people go on TikTok to rage bait, you know, and to get people mad, and like the baddies to be like, well, if you don't know how to do makeup, just say that, sis. And for her to be like, see, there they go, hating. But it's just like this argument gets tired. Like if you can really sit in your plain Janeness, like not gonna lie, because I think I can pull off plain Jane and I can pull off baddie very well. You're not gonna catch me on the internet talking about some, well, plain Janes get the niggas, girl, they get the. What I will say that is, if you're interracially dating, like if you're dating white guys, they like, shout out to lip gloss. They do like that natural 4C hair. And that no makeup look. They do. They love that shit, okay? But that's just like that's not me saying like, girl, you need to, you know, if you a plain Jane, you know, team you. Like, no. Like, I'm just saying that those type of men are attracted to that type of stuff, and that's completely okay. But like, as someone who I think can pull off plain Jane and baddie pretty well, you're not gonna catch me on the internet talking about how plain Janes are the real baddies. How there's nothing like being in your natural. I will say, it is a flex when you can take care of your skin and you can take care of your hair. Like the skin on your face without makeup, and like you really take care of the health of your hair. That is a flex, right? And those are two things I aspire to have. But you're not gonna see me comparing myself to the baddies. You're not gonna see myself comparing myself to the baddies. I don't need to. I already know I'm a bad bitch with or without makeup. And it's just like, I wish more women would understand and just be more confident in themselves that you can be a bad bitch with or without makeup. Again, I love the cutie patootie versus baddie trend because it had nothing to do with which one was better or which one was worse. And it had everything to do with like, which one are you and what brand of cute or pretty do you have to lean into in order to feel confident in yourself. And like, why can't we just have more conversations about that? Why can't we have more conversations and representation of girls who just have like softer, rounder features that probably, you know, like the heavy makeup doesn't do well for them. Maybe like a lip stain and a blush does well for them. And there'd be a whole community of that without them having to take down the other. Like, why? Why sit in your Nissan Altima and say, I'm not a girl's girl because I'm a plain Jane and I'm gonna tell it like it is. Bitch, you a hater. Just say you a hater. Just like, and then I say that. I say you're a hater, and she's like, see? Like, no, not see. I'm being honest here, okay? Like, you sound like a hater in your car, encouraging women to not wear makeup and not learn how to do a full face beat, which can come in handy in hopes of getting a wealthy man. You're not teaching these girls how to be wealthy so that they can link up with a wealthy dude, which is 9 times out of 10 how you are going to marry wealthy, right? No, you're saying you just stop wearing makeup. Don't wash your face at that. Like, girl, get on somewhere. I will be happy when the gender war shit ends. I will be happy when the baddie versus plain Jane versus how can you get a man versus all these men suck. Like, I will be happy when all of this shit ends, because y'all are out here just talking out your ass. Me included. You know? But I feel like I talk out of my ass with intention. At least I wait 3 to 5 business days to come to a conclusion that I have. But it's just like, a man isn't a plan. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, a man isn't a plan. Marrying wealthy isn't gonna save you. It's not the flex that you want, and I think it's dangerous that we encourage these women, these young girls, that they have to marry wealthy in order to be secure and safe. No, build, grow your own wealth. Build your own. Okay, and then the wealthy dude will come. Whether you look like a baddie, whether you look like a plain Jane, the nigga will come. Okay, like just stop this nonsense. This is pathetic. This is pathetic and it's rage bait content. Anyway, moving on. Alright, so this is the last slide, and this is like some natural hair care news that I want to talk about, because I do be talking about my natural hair a lot and like the growth of it and how it's doing. Okay, I want to talk about how the hair grease movement has begun. Okay, I wouldn't say that it has begun. It's kind of always low key been a thing, but and I've heard people talk about how like Blue Magic really was that girl, and we should have just like kept using it because it was really good for our hair. But there has been a little hair grease movement happening on TikTok that has been popularized by my favorite hairstylist that I actually go to, the African Hair God. He has a hair salon with his best friend Henny, and Henny did my hair a couple of months back in like March. And you know, what I really like about them as a salon is that they are very holistic in their approach, and they're not trying to sell you a pipeline dream. They're not trying to sit up here and be like, yeah, if you do sessions with me, or if you keep booking me, I will make sure I have your hair all the way down to your ankles. I will make sure I have your hair all the way down to your ass cheeks. No one's gonna be able to recognize it. Like, they're not trying to sell that dumb pipe dream that I see a lot of natural hair IG hairstylists sell their audience, where they have like the prime example of the person, probably their friend, their homegirl, their sister, or their daughter, who they've grown their hair past their butt cheeks, and they're like, well, see, if you work with me and you follow my plan and you pay me 3 payments of $125.99, and you buy my $75 hair care plan, and you do all this other BS nonsense, you too will have hair down your ankles. Meanwhile, your hair isn't even growing past your shoulders because you didn't even check your blood work to see if you're low in iron or in vitamin D or deficient in B12. Meanwhile, you're not even eating enough protein, so your hair isn't even as healthy as it needs to be. But you're over here spending $125, $150, $200, $300 a pop just to get a silk press done that's probably going to frizz up at the end of the day, at the end of the week, or worse, have heat damage and not be able to revert your hair back to its original curl pattern. Okay? African Hair God and Henny, they don't do that. They're not trying to do that. They're in the business of repairing hair and keeping a hair regimen up so that the hair is healthy. I would argue that they value hair health way more than they value hair length. And as somebody who has had long enough hair, but was incredibly unhealthy and was always shedding, versus somebody who had versus when I had like healthy hair that I really wasn't taking care of like that, versus now where I'm actually taking care of and prioritizing the health of my hair. I will say the number one thing that you should prioritize as anybody who's going on a natural hair care journey is your hair health first. You should prioritize your hair health. Because you can have long hair that's super thin, not thick, does not look cute at all, ends breaking off and all of that, and end up not being able to do the styles you want. It end up looking scraggly. It end up looking like you need to trim. Okay, hair health is important, and I'd say anybody who's on a natural hair journey where they're trying to grow or like make their natural hair healthy, I strongly recommend that you find a holistic natural hairstylist that just prioritizes the health of your hair, that isn't trying to give you tips on how to grow your hair, that has the mindset of all hair can be beautiful, all hair is great, all hair is healthy, let me bring the best out of your hair. Strongly suggest. And I would say that African Hair God, Henny, do a great job with that. Definitely would recommend them all the time. Plus Henny was fun to talk with. She's very funny. And something that I also like is that when Henny worked on my hair, she basically said, everything looks fine. You don't need a trim. Just come back in 6 months. And then she did my twists. I call them my little Travis Scott twist, and I was on my way. I wonder if I could show you what they look like. Maybe I'll show you what they look like on here. And, I don't have a lot of hair, right? On my head. My hair is very thin. I got very thin hair. So I can't really do too much to it. Well, not that I can't really do too much. It's just that I can't really, it doesn't look thick like this girl's hair right here. Like, I really gotta, fluff it out and use the Afro pick. But I'm gonna show you what my hair looked like when they worked on my hair. I was so proud of myself. Oh. I look so cute. I was so happy. And they looked really cute, you know what I mean? And, my hair shrinks a lot, so it shriveled up. But, I just put them in my two little side braids, and I tucked the ends in. And I would imagine if I just let them set and, dry, they would look really, really good. But it was just such a fun time hanging out with them and interacting with them and kind of seeing what their thought process was about hair health. But I say all that to say that Narada, or African Hair God, is the person who started the hair grease movement, I would believe. Not really started it, but really brought and shed to light that hair grease is that girl and we should have never stopped using it. I have heard that the reason why hair grease had a disparaging opinion early on in the natural hair community is because a lot of folks who were in the space of the natural hair movement were those that had type 3 hair textures. And if you have a type 3 curl pattern, right, where you have that loose, wavy, curly hair texture, right, obviously, if you slather on a bunch of Blue Magic or a bunch of Softy or whatever else, right, if you slather that shit on, obviously, it is going to be heavy on your head. As somebody who has fine hair, if you take a whole glop of, you know how they put it on your wrist? They put the Blue Magic on your wrist. If you take a whole glop of it and you slather it on my head, my hair is going to look skinny too. It's going to last, but it's going to look skinny, okay? But still, regardless, Blue Magic wasn't built with the intention of looser curl patterns in mind. It was built with the intention of thicker curl patterns in mind. Curl patterns similar to mine, right? And what had happened, unfortunately, as more people started to infiltrate the natural hair community, more people who really should have probably had their own separate curly girl friendly community, they started to say bad things about Blue Magic, and they started to say that Blue Magic and hair grease isn't good, and you need to use the Shea Moistures and the Camille Roses and the Mayels and all the high end designer hair care products, Carol's Daughter, all those products out there instead. You need to use those, stop using Blue Magic, right? Meanwhile, girlies with type 4 hair are listening to the 3C, 3A, 3B girlies, right? Tell them what they need to put on their hair, not realizing that y'all don't even have the same hair texture. And so, yeah, the Shea Moisture is going to work on their hair texture. Yeah, the Mayel is going to work on their hair texture. Yeah, the Camille Rose is going to work on their hair texture. Those products also work on our hair textures too. But it's Blue Magic was really made for us in mind. Blue Magic hair grease was made for us. Hair grease was made for the intention of keeping our hair moisturized. And when you look at the ingredients, with the exception of like fragrance and stuff, a lot of the product is good for moisturizing hair and keeping hair, in a good condition. And the way African Hair God, the way African Hair God recommends you use Blue Magic is that you take it use it on damp hair. Sometimes I'll use it on dry hair. A little bit. You don't need a lot. You don't need the glop. You don't need you don't need all that. Okay, you don't need the glop, all right? And slather it on your head. No, you just take a little bit. I only take like a few on my fingers. Sometimes I'll spray some water and then you run it through your hair. You just run it through your hair and then you do your little protective style, you do your braids, you do your twists, and you go on about your day. And when I tell you that my hair will remain moisturized for like a good 4 to 5 weeks. And I'm not even, we're not, again, none of this scoop in, no, it's just a little bit. Sometimes I'll use a curling cream, right? But mostly Blue Magic is doing the work. I damp the hair, I twist the hair, I braid the hair, I braid up all the little braids I have, tuck them under, and then take it down in like 4 to 5 weeks to wash my hair, and it's still moisturized. You know what I mean? Like, it's still moisturized. Now, we can have a conversation of, girl, you should be washing your hair every 2 weeks. And yeah, it really depends on what you're comfortable with and what you're into. For right now, I'm just washing my hair once every 4 weeks. Because that's just what works for me. Don't eat me. I know that's bad natural hair care, but my hair still grows and my hair is still healthy. And I know when it's time to like wash my hair. I know natural hair girlies like Curl Coated Black does not wash her hair for like 2 to 3 months at a time. Like, she will not touch her hair. Or like sometimes she'll like wash her hair with her twists in. But for the most part, she does not touch her hair for like 2 to 3 months at a time. So like, people do it. Do I agree that you should do it? No, probably not. But like, that's what's working for me right now. But I'm just so happy that people are going back to the basics, going back to what worked and what never was broken, and what, unfortunately, I gotta say it, what capitalism has convinced us was broken. What a lot of these hair care companies that aren't really even owned by us like that convinced us were not working. Granted, I don't even think Blue Magic is really owned by us, but like, at the end of the day, Blue Magic works a whole lot better than whatever Ayurvedic hair herb oil is being sold on the market. It keeps your hair moisturized. Like the actual strand of your hair, you don't have to put it on your scalp like the strands. It keeps the strands moisturized for weeks and weeks on end. All you gotta do is add water. So yes, over here, we are very pro hair grease. I was actually doing this before the hair grease movement got popular. But I'm glad to see more people engaging in the hair grease discourse. Not even discourse, but like the hair grease movement, and just using that to keep their hair moisturized, using protective styles to keep their hair healthy, and just alleviating a lot of, or removing a lot of like the hair care buildup. You know what I mean? And what I mean is hair care, like the multiple hair care products that you need. There was a time where I was like a hair care junkie. I think every Black girl who's trying to like grow out their natural hair is like some semblance of a hair care junkie, where you have every product and you're just trying to pull at stuff to see what works, and nothing is really working, right? Now I just use tried and true products best for my hair texture and best for my porosity. I don't even go by hair texture because I think I have 2 hair textures anyway. I have a clarifying shampoo, I have a deep conditioner, I have a curling cream, I have hair grease, and I have a heat protectant, and that's it. Like, that's all I'm using. all I'm using every single wash day. We're not doing too much. We're not reinventing the wheel. If I want to do like a fancy braid out, sure, I'll slather on some mousse. But if I'm not really doing a braid out like that, why do I need the mousse? Do I need the mousse? No. And really, my braid outs look fine just with me braiding it using grease and curling cream, right? But I don't do too much on my hair anymore. Like, I don't use a lot of products. I'm very intentional about the products that I use. Blue Magic is now a staple because, again, I don't find myself having to take out my hair and re-moisturize it. No, it's just a one and done, tucking away, we're good. And I also don't use. I think a big contribution to like my hair health now is that I also don't take my hair out a lot. Like I don't. Like if I want to look cute, I will wear a wig and I will not give any craps about wearing a wig. Whether or not you think I'm a baddie or a plain Jane, I do not give a shit. I will slap that shit on. I will wear that wig. If it means to protect my hair, I will wear that wig. I'm actually gonna get into like wearing scarves so that I can wear like keep my like silk scarf that I wear at night on and then just put a scarf over it so that, you know, my hair is covered. But I'm not trying to do anything brand new with my hair. As I mentioned like a couple weeks ago, the best way to grow your hair out or to keep your hair healthy is honestly to leave it alone as much as possible. And so I really appreciate the hair grease movement because it really does prioritize the idea of you put that shit on and then you just leave your hair alone. You don't have to keep touching it. You don't have to keep playing with it. You don't have to keep playing in it. You don't have to, at most, Narada mentions that you can spray water on your hair, but at the end of the day, you don't have to do too much. Like a lot of the people that you see who have like long and healthy hair, with the exception of, you know, IG influencers or natural hair influencers, they're not touching their head at all. They're not putting a lot of stuff, a lot of product, a lot of heat, a lot of manipulation. They're not out here getting box braids back to back. They're not out here getting silk presses in the fall, boho braids in the spring, Jada Wada braids in the summer. Like they're not out here doing all that. Sew-ins in the winter. Like, girl, no. Like they're just picking a very simple style, protecting their ends, and leaving it alone. You know, that also helps if like you're not trying to get your hair trimmed like that. That helps a ton in you not trying to get your hair trimmed. One of my natural hair crushes that I follow, if she so pleases, I stalk her page all the time because I'm convinced we have the same hair type. But she just like when she wears her hair out, she just puts like butter at the end of her hair so it doesn't break. You know? But really she's just doing braid outs every day. Like we're again not doing too much to the hair, not too much tension. You know what I mean? That's really what will help grow your hair out. But more importantly, I think we also need to just prioritize hair health first over length. And I think we also should deconstruct the idea of beauty based off of how long one's hair is versus how healthy one's hair is. Because long hair and chasing length should not be the primary beauty standard for what is pretty natural hair. Just in the same way, in like 2014 and 2013, having a looser curl pattern should not be the trademark beauty standard for natural hair, for 3C, 3A, 3B hair textures. It shouldn't. It should be like we should see more 4C girlies, and that was the argument. Is that all the girls in the 2010s in the natural hair movement that were put on a pedestal had a more defined curl pattern, right? And then the 4C girlies didn't have any representation whatsoever. And then you have these same 3C, 4A, 4B girlies calling themselves 4C, and it's like, girl, no. Like maybe in patches, but like no. You know what I mean? And so I think that really in the next coming decade, as the natural hair movement evolves, that we start seeing more representation in different types of hair lengths and there being beauty in that. Like I remember, well, I wasn't cognizant around this time, but in the 90s, how a lot of the black girls back then were wearing the short Nia Long bob, and like having short length was like the hot thing. Having a pixie cut was the hot thing, right? I would hope that as we progress in the natural hair movement, like having that pixie cut, right? Having that little pixie cut comes back, or like having like a short little fro, what do they call it? Teeny weeny afro. Like we celebrate that more. I hope that we celebrate and pedestalize 4C hair texture more, which we are doing now, but like do it to a grandiose scale, and also very particular of who gets to call themselves type 4. You know what I mean? For example, I believe I have 4B hair in the back and 4C hair in the front, but you're not gonna catch me out here calling myself a 4C girly. And really, because people have different hair textures in their head, you should probably be figuring out what your hair density is and how thick your strands are first before you are over here like, do I have 4A, 4B hair? Because it's like, girl, you could have 4A, 4B hair and follow another girl who has 4A, 4B hair and be confused because she has way more hair on her head than you do. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just like, just being aware of those things. And so, yeah, overall, I'm glad that people are getting back into hair grease. I'm glad that I'm getting back into hair grease because because people used to glob that stuff on my little strands that were not fed and well nourished, and I would look like I had a string of hair. Now I just do like a little light stroke through, and then I just braid my hair up and then I put it under, and it's moisturized like 5 weeks later. But also, I think we need to deconstruct like a lot of these products that we're using, because a good chunk of these products that are sold to us, again, aren't even being like owned by us, but also they're in the business, just like that celebrity natural hairstylist that's saying that if you pay $200, $300, $400, right, for a silk press regimen, I can get your hair down to your ankles. A lot of those hair care products are in the business of selling you this pipeline dream of peak beauty being length and peak beauty being long ass hair, long healthy hair. And if you buy this rosemary oil and you rub it on your head, on your scalp for 30 seconds at a time, you too can have a thick head of hair. And if you buy this deep conditioner and this pre-poo and this detangler, ooh, I also have a detangler in my routine as well. Sorry, I just thought about that. But if you buy these products, the intention is for you to grow long and healthy hair. You know what I mean? And that is rooted in us not seeing proper representation of what like short hair looks like, of what all hair lengths look like, and us constantly grasping onto length over actual health. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad that we're kind of taking a step back. We're going back to our basics, and we're just using what has always worked instead of just like fiending at the mouth at the beauty supply store, at the department store, at the grocery store, trying to figure out what next hot product is going to be good for us. You know what I mean? I think this is awesome, and I'm going to keep using Blue Magic hair grease. I know Narada likes to use the Softy Indian hemp, but I hear that it's DHT. Like it clogs pores, and I'm not in the business of having my pores clogged. Every time my pores are clogged, I start breaking out. So I don't know, but I think this is a nice little thing to end things off with, for my natural girlies, my natural hair girlies, my black girlies, and black envies and fellas who are out here trying to figure out how to keep their hair moisturized and healthy. Blue Magic or Softy, or any type of hair grease that's out there. Strongly recommend that you guys follow the African Hair God on TikTok. He has such great insight and he's very well educated. And if you are in the Georgia area, definitely go to their salon, the Green Thumb. They do very, very good work. So, yeah, with that in mind, I think that is it today, guys. Whew. 3 hours. I thought I was only going to stay here for like 2 hours and 30 minutes. I thought I was going to stay here for 90 minutes, to be honest with you. So I am impressed with myself, but I have to close things out. I'm done for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. Probably be more gaming focused for like 2.5 hours, unless I have like more things to yap about or have a discussion on. But yeah, this was great, guys. Thank you to all the people who showed up, who interacted with me on YouTube, who interacted with me on Twitch. I really, really appreciate that. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow and next week. Okay. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, because it is Sunday. I love you guys so much, and take care.